Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, where we talk about the fall of the Holy Roman Empire. My name is Ethan Skinner.
Fuck you, Charlemagne. Not Charlemagne the God, just the original Charlemagne.
What about the second Charlemagne? Was there a second Charlemagne? Part 2, Electric Boogaloo?
No, the Holy Roman Empire. It wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, and it wasn't an empire.
Yeah, it's well past.
It was German. It was German.
Yeah, it was well past Rome.
What is a Teutonic?
Yeah.
Again, I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Bray Davis.
And I'm Jody Kite.
For clarification, this is Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture.
I wanted to talk about how Rome tried to invade what would become England 4 times.
Spoilers for the next episode.
No, we're not talking about that.
That's not
shit.
the next episode. The next episode is the two of you whooping on one another, but we'll get to that later.
That's a different holy
spoilers.
That's a different Holy Roman Empire.
There you go.
Constantinople was actually able to be breached because somebody left a door to the shitter open.
Nice.
And every year on this day, we reenact the same thing at McNarb Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi.
Oh, Jesus.
That's why it was called Constantinople.
Constantinople, yes.
You're right.
And now it's just
Ethan, what has 5 toes and isn't your foot?
Is it your foot?
It's my foot, yes.
Yeah, there we go, yes.
that's why it's now called Istanpoop instead of Istanbul.
Speaking of your foot, what have you been doing, Brady?
Hopefully
with
not
my
your
foot.
foot.
Not my foot, no.
There we go.
It's not my deal. No shaming here, but it's not my deal.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino.
So I wonder how many feet's going to be in the movie Critic, which is his next movie. The answer is all of them. So
Every foot.
So let me see. This past Thursday, this coming up Thursday, we're going to be playing a miniatures game. Well, 2 of our people are going to be playing a miniatures game. But last week, I tried a new miniatures game because I've been wanting to get something that was like a skirmish style game. We already have like Warcry, and I play that a decent amount, and I really do love it. But I was feeling something else. And I had thought about backing the Song of Ice and Fire tactics game, which is a skirmish game. And by skirmish game, we mean it's just a smaller number of models. You just have like a few, it's not like a whole army.
The scale is also typically
The
a little
scale
bit
is
larger.
bigger, yeah. I thought about backing that because it was on GameFound, which is another type of Kickstarter type thing. But I ended up not doing that. And I was also thinking about the game that I played last week. Which friend of the show, Jason Holder, bought Star Wars Shatterpoint. And in this, it's a pretty interesting game. In this game, you have basically two teams, and at most you have like 8 models. Like that's it. And the good thing about them is you can buy a box that has a team, and you can just run that team. Like you don't have to. You can do a little bit of like building or whatever, but you don't have to. And it plays really quick. It's divided into what's called struggles, where you have this kind of bar that has like on your side and then on the other person's side, and as you score points by controlling areas, it moves back and forth over that, and you're trying to get yours all the way to your side. And things can happen that can put these momentum tokens down that make it easier to get to all the way to the end of your side. But yeah, I played I had Obi-Wan in one team because you get like a primary, a secondary, and then a support group, which is usually like 2 models. So it's like two basically teams of 4 make up an entire strike team, I think is what it's called. And then on the other one, it was Plo Koon, who is one of my favorite like lesser known Jedis from the prequels eras.
He is one of the best pilots of the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. He's a
Keldorian.
He got a lot of play in the Clone Wars series, but I never watched that. Not the Gendy Tartakovsky one that hardly anybody remembers, but the other one that a lot of people remember. Yeah, and then Holder played. He had the Danthamir team with the Night Sisters and Savage Opress, who is Darth Maul's brother, and then the other one he had Darth Maul with oddly enough Bo-Katan and some Mandalorians. I lost pretty handily, but like it was still a fun game. One of the things that I really like is that when you go to attack somebody, you roll dice and you're not looking for how much damage you do. You're doing hits, and everybody has this damage, this track that they can move down that might go off in different ways and give you different options of what you want to do. Like, okay, you might start out doing, if say you get 3 successes, that means you get to move 3 spaces down your track. So it might, let you push the person off from where they're at, or it might let you put some kind of negative condition on them. But it also could do damage and things like that. Or it could, if you get all the way down, it might let you do one of your activated abilities for free. So that's a really cool way of doing it, to where you're not rolling for damage, you're rolling for just how far you can move down that track. And it's very interesting, and you can do a lot of different things because like they branch off into different ways. It's almost like a skill tree type thing, but you can kind of go however far you can go. You can decide how you want to do. But yeah, it's a really interesting game. I'm going to definitely get a couple of boxes to make my own team. They've got one with like Mace Windu that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. They've got one with Luke Skywalker from Jabba's palace, and it's got that one's got Leia with in the bounty hunter outfit, and it's also got Lando in disguise and R2-D2.
Do I have the option of just having 5 models of a General Grievous?
No, but he is one of the things, because you always have it has to be 2 teams, and it has to be 1 primary, 1 secondary, and then a support group in each one of those. And
That's
support
20 lightsabers. That's more lightsabers than the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Which I watched that trailer.
I think his box is called Appetite for Destruction.
Nice.
He's supposed to be pretty cool. Pretty good.
That sounds correct.
Because he comes with the super battle droids, and he comes with one of the some kind of droid, some named droid from like the Clone Wars TV show that I'm not familiar with.
Gotcha.
But he's supposed to be pretty good. But they've got it like prequel era, and then they've got like Galactic Empire era, and the only rule is that if you're primary, you can't have people of different eras in a team. And like your primary will give you like 7 points, so that means your secondary and your support has to equal up to 7 points.
Right.
So it's pretty easy to it's not like super complicated to make a
team.
Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty cool game. I had fun with it.
Is this Fantasy Flight, or is
It's
Renegade or-
Atomic Mass Games.
Uh-huh.
Fantasy Flight's miniatures department was moved underneath the umbrella. So like the X-Wing miniatures game, Armada, Legion, all of that was moved under Atomic Mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Atomic Mass has this, and the other one you may know is Marvel's Crisis Protocol.
Yeah, which is also a skirmish type game.
Right. They've been cranking out a lot of these like Star Wars mini games in the past handful of years, and like I see like in like play rotation, at least at our shop or whatever, and it stays with like the most newest one. Do these like different gaming systems, like do they like lose any sort of like new stuff coming out for, like, are they still putting out stuff for Armada even though it's not as popular? Are they still putting out stuff for like X-Wing?
If there's one thing that I will say for Games Workshop in this, because they have control over their property, they don't have to wait until, hey, what's this? Is there any other new cool stuff coming out? Like Star Wars ran out of space fighters. They just did. So X-Wing is still a game that is played. It's not played at the shop as much, at least not when I'm around to see it.
Right.
Same thing with Armada. I love Armada. This is going to sound strange. I love that it's a cumbersome game compared to X-Wing, because it's dealing with capital ships as opposed to fighter craft. And it's one of the reasons why I liked Star Wars X-Wing more than Star Trek Attack Wing, because they tried to make capital ships into space fighters, and it doesn't really
Is there still like when I mean support, I mean like is there still like new minis coming out for
To
these?
my knowledge, it's sporadic at best. I
okay.
haven't seen anything for Armada in a bit, and I haven't seen anything for X-Wing in a bit.
Right.
Legion is still getting good support.
Yeah.
Because that's like the
And-
last big one they've done, right?
And Legion and Shatterpoint.
Shatterpoint,
Legion, like 'cause Shatterpoint's is the new boy on the
It's
block.
the new name.
Yeah.
It's train scale. So one of the cool things that I don't think it gets talked about enough is the fact because it's model train scale, you have this wide variety of things that you can make your board out of or have them fight on because you have so much model train
That
hobby
sounds
stuff
really
that's
cool.
available.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's great. That's another game that I wouldn't mind getting like all of us kind of like,
Sure.
not say like that's one where I would like us to commit to it if we did it like buy stuff and paint put it together and paint it up. It's very simple to put a team together. Like just like Brady said,
Like it's 2 boxes if you, and they're usually like retail is like $50, so
Right.
$100, and you have a team that you can just play, and you're not going to get a lot of like customization, but there's
Right.
really not that much customization in the game
At
anyway.
this time.
Like you only have so much that you can do anyway.
customization is the models you bring in rather than
Yeah.
what you put on those models.
Yeah.
And even then, like it's compared to other games, it's not as
Right.
it's not as you don't have as wide of a.
And
of
I
a-
love that damage system.
Yeah.
I rolled 3 things so I can do these 2 effects or I can branch off and do like these 2 effects instead. I
Should
dig
I
that.
should I do 4 damage to you, or should I do 4 damage and give you this condition that could also help me, or do
Right.
3 damage and do or 2 damage and do the condition or something like that.
Like, do I hurt you more or do I make it so that you can't hit me as well? Because if I'm expecting that hit back to be worse, maybe I should go ahead and do that
Yeah.
instead.
Right.
And it does an interesting thing where all the people in your team have their own card, and you basically you form a deck with all of them, and then you have a Shatterpoint card, which is a wild, and you just it's my turn. Let me flip the top card of my deck. Okay, it's this person. It's this team. It's this person. They activate,
Okay.
or I can spend a force and put them to the side and then do the next one. But that's
The mitigation of the
Yeah.
luck.
and then when you flip the Shatterpoint, you can activate anybody. So you can activate one person multiple times if they're in a better position, or to move them into a better position, stuff like that.
Kind of that kind of mechanic sounds like it balances out. Like if somebody else is ahead and you flip your Shatterpoint card
Yeah.
over, you have a chance of catching up.
Well, also, it to me, it's more to mimic like the kind of chaos of like a back and forth. Like it's a street brawl
Right.
compared to battling on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like each of your groups knows what they're doing, but they may not activate in time. And you do have some way of keeping, of basically having some bit of control over it,
Yeah.
but you don't have total control over it.
Yeah.
I dig that.
That sounds
Especially
pretty
for
cool.
the theme of what they're going through.
Yeah, and it plays pretty quickly, even though like I think it was like maybe an hour and a half, and we were like figuring out stuff too because we hadn't even, none of us had played it. So going, getting the rules down and everything, and getting all the symbology down, then I think it'd go even faster.
Gotcha.
This is a minor thing, but I really enjoy the terrain that is in that box.
Yeah,
like,
it's got good
it's
terrain.
solid pieces. Like I'm never worried about those things falling apart on me.
Yeah.
Like it's great. I can't wait till he starts painting that up. And if Jason, if you can hear me, man, I've got an airbrush and I need to use it. So I'm all for it. I'm all for spray painting some metal.
Yeah, so I got that. The only other thing that I've really done was watched a movie that I had kind of been. It came out last year, and I've been kind of interested in it. It was a smaller movie, but the name of it's The Royal Hotel. And the only thing that drew me to it is it stars Julia Garner, and she's one of those actresses where I see her in something and I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. She was Ruth in Ozark. That's probably her best known role. She's been in a lot of other like mostly smaller movies and TV shows and things like that. She was in, what's that show with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone that came out for Maniac? She was in Maniac. I think that was it. I can't remember.
Anytime I think of Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, I think of Superbad. So
Yeah, it was
that's
like-
what always throws me off.
It was like in 2020 when it came out. But she had a small role in that. She was in The Assistant, which was really good. But she's a really good actress, and I really like watching her in stuff. So this is about 2 girls, and the other girl played Nymeria Sand in Game of Thrones. It's two girls. They're on vacation in Australia, and they basically run out of money, so they have to go to this program that says, okay, we're gonna hook you up with some place to work so you can make money. And they end up going to this hotel, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere, that's near a mining area, and they basically are working at a bar there, and there's a lot of like guys there, miners there, so they have to deal with that, and then they have to deal with this kind of the owner of the hotel is like a shitty drunk, and I didn't realize until I was looking at like the IMDb of it, motherfucker's played by Hugo Weaving, and I had no fucking idea.
Oh wow!
I was like, oh shit, that was Hugo Weaving. What the fuck? But yeah, he's in this like just randomly, and he plays just a shitty drunk guy. But yeah, it's interesting. It's tense. I think just by that explanation, you can kind of tell where the game the movie goes. But it was a pretty solid movie. It wasn't like phenomenal, but it was an interesting movie. I'm not upset that I watched it. But yeah, Julia Garner was great in it. The other chick was great in it. So yeah, it's on Hulu. So if that sounds interesting, check that out. The Royal Hotel. That's pretty much all I've done.
That sounds pretty cool.
Quick little cap on that. Yes, Maniac is the show with Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Available on Netflix as we speak.
Yeah, it was a Netflix only show.
Okay.
It was really good.
Sounds all very much interesting. Jody,
Really quick.
Jump in.
Yeah. I'm stealing from you like I stole the bets from old dude.
We love you, Derek.
Derek, I'm sorry. The trailer for Star Wars, the Star Wars show, The Acolyte, came out.
I watched that right before we recorded.
I have not seen it. I saw like the teaser, like the poster.
The poster was really cool. It looks very interesting. It looks like I was talking with Jody about this earlier, but it looks like it takes place like super far in the past. So.
Like the bad guys haven't showed up yet.
Yeah,
that's how far back it shows.
Like the people didn't some of the Jedi didn't know what Sith are. So
like the old Republic.
Yeah,
the old Republic.
And if that's true, then
the older Republic.
Then I will definitely give it a chance, because that's the Star Wars that I want now.
Yeah.
Now I don't want
get away from the Skywalker legacy, please.
I don't want Star Wars that's connected to any of the Star Wars that I've been any of these main movies, because I'm tired of these characters. I love some of them.
I want new characters with no ties to any of the original trilogy.
I'm just
this will sound pedantic. I don't care if it's tied to the old characters or if it's the new characters. I just want good stories.
I mean, I can agree with that.
I think and it's harder to do good stories with the old characters because we've already had good stories, and it'll always be a measuring stick to that.
Yeah.
If these new stories are also are good, great. If they're bad,
they could also be bad.
That's one of the reasons why.
I'm not saying that that's the only reason, but yeah, like I think the reason that we've had bad stories is because they are so tied to what's been done.
Well, that and they're just lazy writing,
and it's lazy. It's very easy to just go, okay, we're going to do stuff with the Skywalkers again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks pretty good. Probably going to wait for reviews because I just can't spend a lot of time on a TV show nowadays,
unless it's Shogun.
Shogun.
I still need to watch that.
Yeah.
I was telling Jay,
I can't do this piecemeal. I have to wait till it's all out, and then I'll look at it.
Every single episode has either been the best episode so far or just as good as the last.
Sonata, everything he's in, like Sonata
it's
elevates
5 episodes in, and every single one of them is
just a banger.
Sonata and Scorpion elevates Mortal Kombat past just the fighting game, video game movie thing.
Right.
He's so good.
Yeah.
That first 15 minutes of Mortal Kombat's pretty much like it for that movie.
Yeah,
like,
he's
the best part.
He's the new, and this is a little bit reductive. I realize that, but he's like the new Ken Watanabe. Like,
got you. I got you.
Oh, I don't. The movie might be shit, but I know that he's going to be great in it, and he's probably going to elevate the whole thing while he's there.
Right,
he's going to make it worthwhile to watch this.
Mm-hmm. But the Acolyte looks interesting.
Looks pretty cool.
Shogun's great. If you're not watching it, watch it because it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
it's fine.
Jody, back to you.
Back to me.
I got one more thing. No, I'm
gonna let you finish, but.
So I'm just interrupting. No,
sometimes I'm used to being interrupted. It's fine.
After 2 years of this, we all better be goddamn.
2 years. Yeah, just this 2 years.
Johnny, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
All right, so sometimes I go back
Moo, God damn it!
and watch movies.
I apologize, Bianca.
Bianca, friend of the show and fiance of one of the hosts, was asleep on the studio couch, and then when he yelled "moo," she just woke the fuck up. Oh, I see giggle movement. We're good.
So sometimes you avoid certain like subgenres of like horror and sci-fi. Like I stay away from typically I stay away from exorcism type movies because with the exception of the original one, most of the and including its sequels, they're mostly bad.
Yeah.
So me and my buddy Phil from Japan, he's down for a little bit. We decided we wanted to try and watch hopefully a good horror movie. So we watched The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Oh, okay.
And
it does look very interesting.
It is. They take at first. I'm not a fan of taking like actual illness and using it as a like subplot, but it's not actually. Thankfully, they find out about halfway through the book because it's like. She's diagnosed with the beginning of like dementia and shit like that to explain her behavior, and then eventually they find out that's not what's happening. But but it's not the doctors that find it out because they're like, oh no, she's fine. Like we don't see anything wrong with. Oh, you mean her trying to dig her own eyes out. That's okay. That's okay for you. Okay. Yeah. She teleported across the room, but that's completely fine. But it's
okay. She has a thyroid condition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not going to spoil anything. It's interesting. It's different. They have an interesting twist to it that you kind of don't see coming, which is you don't have those hardly in horror movies period anymore.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I watched a whole 12-episode series and 3 movies based in the same franchise. And I'm not talking about that just yet.
Oh, okay.
So
is this the one from last week?
Yeah. When I started talking about trying to watch a whole franchise of something. So I'm working on it, and I'll get back to you. And that's going to be my longest. What have you been doing?
Oh, okay.
Whenever
should we already preemptively consider that a rest stop?
It might be.
I know what it is because of a post he made in a Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
I know what it is, but I'm not going to tell.
Yeah, don't do it. All right, so it's actually been a somewhat pleasant experience, which is not how I went into it.
Interesting.
And I went into it through a different hobby. Mm-hmm. So, and the same reason I've got questions for you. Okay, so I'm pointing at Brady.
Hey everybody, Future Jay. That question Jody asked Brady became a bit of a kind of an exploration into Brandon Sanderson, one of the best fantasy writers of this era and day. So what we did is we're going to do this as a rest stop. So if you want that part, that's going to be out in a couple days, unless it's about a couple weeks after, in which case it's already out. It's going to be the episode right after this one. Anyway, coming back to Jody just taking back over and then handing it off back to Ethan. Yeah. I think that's how it works.
That's all.
That is all.
Yeah.
We are going to go to me. We're going to go to me.
Okay.
So Brady mentioned a trailer, the trailer for The Acolyte, which made me remember that there was an announcement for a documentary coming out.
Okay.
I don't like documentaries. They just
way
don't
to
vibe
sell
with
it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But WWE announced the Bray Wyatt documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Becoming
saw that,
Immortal.
yeah.
That is narrated by The Undertaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
okay.
He's got to do something in between presenting soccer trophies in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
In
Just-
character.
Oh.
in
That
character.
he did the walk to pick up a giant golden globe and present it to the winner.
They
Are
probably
we sure
gave
that
him.
was in character, or he
It
just really doesn't
it
move
might
that
have not
fast
been in
anymore?
Dubai. It might have been Saudi Arabia. They both are like it's blood money either way. Who cares?
Here's $1 million. Walk like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Done. Easy money. But
Oh,
still,
oh,
I
yeah.
can't get too mad at him,
Yeah.
but it's still a little disappointing.
but still, like,
Slightly.
my all-time favorite wrestler narrating the life of my second all-time favorite wrestler is just. I'm immediately watching that the day it comes out, April 1st.
Bray Wyatt's impact was way bigger than I think we're going to be able to appreciate now.
Mm,
like The people inspired by him, the ones that inspired to get into either wrestling or get into creative things based off of like the stuff he was creating. We're not going to see that for like another at the start of it, like 5 years maybe, and then we're really going to see it come along the line like 10
he
years.
really reminded me of not as character work, but just how in depth it was with like Foley, depending on like the time of that character. Like Mankind started out to be a little bit more darker and then got a little bit more light.
Like the faces of Mick Foley.
Dude, the best thing that ever happened was when he cut like 3 promos on the same vignette because Triple H challenged Mankind to a match, and then they cut to the Titantron, and Mankind and Dude Love are having a conversation, and then Cactus Jack shows up, and then Triple H is just really mad in kayfabe that he has to fight Cactus Jack, and neither one of the other 2 characters. Gotta love it.
Yeah, there was also a moment
that
where
match
it was
took place in Madison Square Garden, and so for Mick Foley,
that's a big deal.
I highly recommend still to this day Mankind, Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks, his first autobiography, and his second one. Foley is good. All of them, because I bought all 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
But those first 2 are just really.
Have a Nice Day was his first one.
Have a Nice Day,
right.
Mankind, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks.
Oh, is that what?
All he wanted to call it was A Tale of Blood and it was going to be Mick Foley, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks.
Right.
It then became Mankind, A Tale of Blood and Sweat, and then it became Have a Nice Day,
right.
Mankind.
Wow.
Gotcha.
It's like the Englishman who went up the hill and came down
all
the
the
mountain.
titles of the book, the autobiography.
Yeah.
Right.
He has a really good episode of on Thunder Rosa's YouTube where the taco.
I love those.
That was really good.
Hearing him talk with her about stuff is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, by the way, welcome to Whiskey and Wrestling West Coast. Just thought we'd bring that up there.
So the Bray Wyatt documentary.
The Bray Wyatt documentary. I'm really excited to watch that and listen to it. His impact not only on wrestling fans but other wrestlers in the industry is just amazing.
That seems like it's going to be good, and also like wrestling documentaries. I mean, mostly are pretty decent, depending anyway. Because they're usually they normally are done right.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy
typically.
a lot of all of the Dark Side of the Ring ones.
Right.
And so I'm excited about
One that I would recommend would be Forever Hardcore, which was so when ECW had One Night Stand, Shane Douglas knew we wasn't going to be a part of that because he was on the outs with WWE. Right. So he had his own show called Hardcore Homecoming, which took place at the Alhambra, which took place at the ECW arena.
Yes. Yeah.
And along with that, Jeremy Borash produced a 2-hour documentary.
Yeah, both discs were in the same box.
People you didn't get to hear from the ECW, the Rise and Fall of ECW, you got to hear from that. To me is it's good by itself, but as a complementary to WWE's Rise and Fall of ECW, I think it's fantastic.
It's really good because you get to hear from you get to hear from ECW people that weren't even on the second iteration on TNN, like Beulah McGillicuddy. And I think she's on there. She wasn't on there.
No, Francine's on there.
I remember
Beulah's not on there because Tommy was in the WWE and they weren't going to load her out to do that.
Yeah,
but that one's really good. My favorite one is my favorite wrestler of all time is the Roddy Piper one because that came with it came packaged with some of his best matches. And also it was one of the few times where WWE was like, they let a lot of things slide when he was talking about Pat Patterson and some shit like that. But it's a really good documentary.
I'm also a big fan of Kayfabe Commentaries, which is a company owned by a gentleman by the name of Sean Oliver. Now you would know him more as the co-host of Kevin Nash's podcast Click This. But he produced U-Shoots. Some of them get a bit puerile, like the early ones in particular.
Right.
But the later ones where I think he really got into his like let's talk about this in depthly. I really like the 2 that he did with Jim Cornette because it was about the history of wrestling and about his history with wrestling.
Right.
And to me, that's where Cornette's speak kind of really shines because whatever negative you want to say about him, and there's a good bit that you can foster onto Jim Cornette, particularly with his hatred of modern wrestling. Yeah. When he's talking about the history of wrestling, it's coming from a place of both knowledge and love, and you don't really find that a lot. And Sean Oliver was able to tap into that.
He'll also tap into like a specific year when sometimes he'll have a guest on and they'll just go over like what happened in 1996 in WCW, and they'll go over like everything.
They did a complete year by year of every year of ECW from its formation all the way to the end of it, and with like this, like Sandman, Sabu, RVD. Al Snow, Justin Credible, Todd Gordon, who is the original founder of ECW. Like all of them have their own DVD on that, and they all have a particular year on that. It's a fantastic. I think New Jack is also one of those.
I think so.
Just for the experience of New Jack, that was worth it.
I will say a non-wrestling documentary that you would like is a King of Kong Fistful of Quarters.
That's an amazing documentary.
I feel like I've heard that.
Yeah.
We won't go into it.
Yeah.
Go look at it, and then next time
I
if
will
you watch
be
it,
like,
No, I know what that is.
Okay.
I know what it is. I haven't seen it, but I'm well aware of it.
It's a good one.
It's really good.
Some of the stuff in it's out of date. Like of course, like the records have been changed, but
one
still
of the
really
people
good.
in there sells hot sauce, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
For how much longer, we don't know.
Yeah.
Another non-wrestling documentary that came out recently, Quiet on Set. Have y'all heard of it?
That's on That is on Max. I want a couple more because I think it's in episodes. I don't know if it's a full on because I've seen episode markings for it on Max, so I don't know. But yeah, that's one. But that one goes into like the dark side of Nickelodeon kid stuff, and like
the 90s. The 90s and early 2000s era of
I really
tapping out.
I really not for the trauma that she took, but just how good of a writer she was for her autobiography. I really want to see Jeanette McCurdy become a very good author because the way she was able
to read her book.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to get it.
Of everything that I've seen, people reviews wise, it's piqued my interest.
Yeah,
and so that's one that I'm also very interested in looking into.
That's one of those that I hope my daughter never finds because she loves all those shows and we watch them all the time. And I want to be like, I haven't told her about the Jeanette McCurdy book because we've watched all of those. We've watched like Salmon Cat and all that shit, and I'm like, oh man.
If you thought spaghetti tacos was the most disgusting thing about iCarly, oh no, oh no,
that dude has had the producer guy has went on an apology. I wouldn't say a tour, but he has definitely tried to apologize very profusely lately. And
there is not enough forgiveness left in the human race.
The day after it dropped on Max, he immediately did like a sit down interview with one of the actors on iCarly.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah. And from what I heard, he sounds like truly like sorry, but like it doesn't. I don't think that it. It doesn't override what he's done. So oof.
Going away for some negative things.
In
life. I had as of this recording, my birthday was yesterday.
I thought you said not negative things.
Oh no! This is a very much positive thing.
Because wait! He's still at that
enough,
range.
He's still young enough that he cares about when he revolves around the sun.
No. I could care. I could give two shits about how old I am.
Sure.
But
wait till the knees go.
Yeah.
But Bianca, whom I love dearly, she made some very good.
You don't know if she's really
plans.
sleeping, so you better still talk good about her.
Yeah, she. We went out to dinner. It was very nice. It was me.
Did you go to Giuseppe's again?
No, fuck Giuseppe. Sorry, Giuseppe the person. I apologize, but the restaurant Giuseppe.
No, if he has any connection to that, probably fuck him too, because it's probably his fault.
What if they stole his name?
Oh man.
Yeah,
maybe there's not even
Don't
a
worry,
Giuseppe.
they'll never blame it on us. They'll only blame it on Giuseppe.
There is no Giuseppe, only Zool.
But we went out.
Are you the gate master?
I'm not doing the
key master. Sorry,
the research into Giuseppe's. I'm sorry.
Giuseppe's? Are you having a stroke?
Giuseppe, help me!
Help me, Giuseppe!
Giuseppe, help me!
Are you having a stroke?
No, I'm fine.
I didn't know strokes could catch.
But no, we went out to dinner. It was all very, very, very well. We had a hibachi. It was very good. I very much like sit down hibachi tables,
Yeah.
like the interaction from the person cooking the food with the person eating it, and all the small jokes that he cracks and the
Yeah.
conversations. I very much enjoyed it.
Do you remember any of the jokes?
No,
Okay.
I just in the moments.
Okay, now I think you've cut my senility because I was also there. I came up to the table.
Okay.
And it's like, hey, do you want to see? Hey, do you want an egg roll? And he took an egg and he rolled it down the spatula. That was great. That was a great joke. How dare you?
I remember eating. That's all. And the little onion volcano that he made.
Yeah.
Last time I went to hibachi. The guy next to us kept singing "I Want It That Way." He was leading everybody, and we all the whole side of the
yeah.
restaurant started
Okay,
singing.
when
Tell
the
me
whole
why.
Yeah.
restaurant joins, then that's acceptable.
I'm also a big fan, like, because I mentioned this at the table. I love the artistry, like just
yeah.
the simple artistry
Right.
of like just preparing food in a way that is entertaining to people. I find that just absolutely great, and the people who do that well, all the respect to
I
you.
don't know. Respect to him. It doesn't do anything for me. It's just I want my food.
He was doing the thing where,
But I am
like,
also a cynical bastard.
like
Okay.
he put oil in the center of the table. He put some water to like make it like spit up a little bit off the side. Oil. Took a lighter, put it on flames. He tried doing the thing where he slides his finger across and have that huge fire vortex. He failed twice. He was like first time. Like,
I was just hoping the oil
man.
splashed off on fire and landed on someone. That would be the ultimate
that
art
would
form
be the
right there.
That's a
ultimate
different
one.
kind of artistry right there.
Yeah,
But no, he missed the
Pyrokinesis.
first one. I was like, damn it. Okay, second time's a try. Sure, damn it. And then like rubs his hands together, like, yeah, and then finally got it.
Okay, yeah. Third time's a charm.
He tried doing it twice, and in both times with the first one and the onion volcano, he failed 3 times.
Oh man.
Zippo was out of fluid.
No, I think he was out of fluid. But no, we had that dinner. It was really good. And then today, we went to the spa. Bianca made a
the
couple
spa.
Yeah, she made an appointment for a couple's massage.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
It was very
Was
good.
the masseuse out of fluid?
No.
Rodolfo is never out of fluid. How dare you? For those wondering what that tap was, it's Jody trying not to burst out laughing at me.
Jesus Christ.
But no, we
Touch me, Rodolfo. Touch me and take my pain away.
We'll be here all night, guys. Tip your waitress.
Don't forget tipping waitresses and bartenders. ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Pornhub podcast.
What the fuck?
I'm just talking about a massage, and all of a sudden you're like 3 fingers deep into some German
Whoa!
dude.
Yeah.
I was just talking about massage. You're the one talking about
filthy people.
fingers.
Yeah.
You better put, you better put 2 content warnings at the beginning of this one.
we had a
The other one
we had
will
a
be sorry,
massage.
Rodolfo.
That's it. We had a massage. They had like a
That's it. I'm not telling you anything else. Nothing else happened. That's it.
They had
That's
like
as far as it went.
they
A
had a
massage. I
whirlpool hot
promise. I
tub.
swear to God.
they had a sauna, a steam room,
Hand to
and
my heart.
everything.
Yeah. Keep talking.
It was a good experience.
It was a
okay?
steam room. What kept it hot?
What kind of massage did
Probably
you get? Deep tissue,
water.
Swedish?
Said you were- Wait, so you were wet in the steam room?
I mean, it was.
Well, of course you're going to be
it
wet
was
in the steam room.
It was steamy.
If you're
It was-
going to be wet in some place, it's going to be the steam room.
but it was a
3 content warnings.
Sorry, Rodolfo, the basic one, and also don't be wet
Yeah.
but
unless it's a steam
Or
room.
out of fluid.
Don't be out of fluid.
it was a very good experience. And
Tell me more about how the experience was wonderful.
Done.
Tell me.
You need to put don't be wet on the.
and I want to say thank you, Bianca, and I love you.
Oh, and then after the thing, hit the one. You know the one.
No.
No.
God damn it! I've lost the button.
I've discovered the power of the beacon pen.
All right, there we go.
Yep.
Jay,
If you're
tell
wondering how the massage turned out,
Jay, tell us what you've been up to
Jay,
after we've been
tell us what
talking
you've
for
been
45
doing.
minutes.
I've discovered the power of the. That's not Jay. I've discovered the power of the breeding pen. See, I can't take that away. I can't take it away from him because he paid for it. I
he
can't.
can't offend
Exactly.
anybody. He's dead.
and because
Yuppies.
and if, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been with us long enough, you may be wondering, hey Jay, where's your thing on the soundboard? I've never said anything funny. That's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I've never said anything funny.
Never. Not once.
Never at any point in time.
From
have I
your
ever said
lips
anything
to
funny.
God's ears.
Exactly. Unfortunately, to the
I want that as a
passengers' ears.
soundbite.
Yep. Done.
Here, I'll give you a good. From your lips to God's ears.
There we go.
There you go.
We like
Like
that.
it.
All right.
We'll
We
give
like
you a
it.
good
Times
one to
there.
cut out.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to be very brief with mine because, good Lord. You hit, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a rest stop as part of this. I haven't picked out which yet. It may just be all the things Jody did.
Jody's entire "What have you been doing?"
We'll call it the Jody stop.
Yeah.
It'll be great. But no, okay, so
Jody
three
Brady
things.
talk about
One,
Brandon Sanderson.
in honor of the life and in celebration of the works of one Akira Toriyama, I bought Slime from Dragon Quest. And he is one of the most characterful things.
One of the best designs of anything ever.
Simple, iconic. You know exactly what it is. He's just adorable. I love him to death. So I have
awesome.
Slime now from Dragon Quest. So that's pretty cool. Second thing, we are leading up to the big 1,000 point Age of Sigmar game between one Ethan Skinner playing the Ideneth Deepkin versus Jody Kite playing the Soulblight Gravelords. We're gonna have some fun. Few little things I want to hash out, but we'll hash that out in time. But I've been putting together some of the models, and I've got a couple of them fronting up here, ladies and gentlemen. For the if you want to see what these look like, they're the Achillean King. From the Ideneth Deepkin and the Gloomtide Shipwreck, which is one of my favorite scenery pieces in the game, and so that's going to be fun.
It is absolutely amazing. Like the model is the best way I can describe it is an armored sea elf riding an armored sea horse unicorn.
Yeah. Sea unicorn.
Sea horse,
unicorn.
dragon unicorn.
Dragon unicorn. Yeah, it's very important to get that part in there as well.
And he has a cape. It's sick. It's cool. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with that.
I think out of like the order, section of Age of Sigmar, probably Ideneth has like the best looking models to me.
And what I like about it is you can see how the Ideneth and Lumineth are both elves, and they're both created by the same creator god. What I like about it is you can see how the Ideneth were the first form, and how there was a refinement in the second form of that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily better. I like the Ideneth models.
Now you can tell who he likes better.
And it's the Ideneth. I actually prefer the Ideneth models more because
I'm talking about Teclis, not you.
Oh yeah, no, Teclis. Yeah, as the content creator Haywo said, Teclis created the Ideneth. And then he went out for cigarettes and never came back. Just the way it was about
That's
that
pretty
one.
much it.
And because 90% of them are born without souls.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And in order to maintain their race, they have to come ashore and steal the souls of people in order to keep them from going extinct.
Yeah.
And they're on the good guys.
Yeah.
Deep sea elvish soul vampires.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
There
That's
you go.
a word soup of a character.
There you go. It's, of a race, sir.
Yes.
Yes, they live in the seas. It's great, and they bring the sea with them when they find.
Yeah.
I did at 1,000 points. There wasn't enough points to fit in the Achillean Leviathan. Otherwise, that would have been been part of it as
There's
well.
a big giant war turtle.
Yeah,
I've heard
with a
glorious
howdah
stories.
with 4 whole dudes. One of them's just a drummer. One's just Neil Peart doing the Song of Life. It's fucking great.
It reminds me of in War Machine. There was the people that I play were Scorn, and they had it's called a Siege Animantrax, which is basically a giant tortoise with a whole bunch of shit on its back, and one of them is literally a musician blowing a horn.
All I know is as I'm playing, Jay's gonna be over my shoulder just yelling, "More eels!"
I couldn't get more eels into it. I've got 2 squads of eels. I got the Achillean, I got the Ishlane Guard and the Morsar Guard, which are the defenders and the attackers. I got you 10 Namarti thralls. They're the soulless ones. They have no eyes, which is weird because there's also Namarti Reavers who are, how best to put this, bow fighters.
Yeah.
They fight with bows, but they're blind.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
God damn it. And then the third thing, I just recently picked up the last 2 of the Unmatched Marvel series. I picked up Teen Spirit, which is Cloak and Dagger, Squirrel Girl, and Ms. Marvel. And for King and Country, which is King T'Challa himself, Black Panther, Black Widow, and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so we now have
That's
all
the set
the
that I've been wanting.
yeah.
We were at Barnes and Nobles today, and we saw all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How much are those anyway?
So they are 50 base. I got lucky with Hell's Kitchen and Redemption Row. They were on the 50% off table at Barnes and Noble, and so I got those
nice.
for 25.
Hell yeah.
And then I went online and they were doing a deal on Amazon for Brains and Brawn, which is the one I wanted because it has Spider-Man, She-Hulk, and Doctor Strange in it.
Yeah.
And that's a great set just in and of itself. It's a great
Yeah.
board. I love everything about that one. I was able to get that one for around 40, and then the last two the shop got me with my shop discounts. I paid 40 a piece for those.
Oh, nice.
There was one.
Magnarv Gaming, Goshen, Mississippi.
There was one set that we saw that it was Living Legends, I believe, volumes 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first two. Those were like the
Living Legends was the first one.
Yeah,
And then it's hard to like
because Living Legends
later
were,
on Living Legends 2 was good. I've got Living Legends 1.
that
but-
was actual people. Like those were actual people that have
well, it was
lived
like
or are living.
it was
right?
it was like mythological because it was like
Sinbad,
Sinbad,
Medusa.
Oh, okay.
Medusa,
Alice.
King Arthur, and Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the first one, and then
Was that the first one or the second one?
That's
That's
the
the
first
first
one.
Okay.
The second one is Sun Wukong, Bloody Mary,
Achilles,
Achilles. I
Achilles.
saw that one. Yeah, and there's
and,
one other one there too.
I can't think of the last one.
Shit. Yeah, I can't think of the last one either.
John desperately needs the one with the T-Rex. He desperately needs.
I'm
that.
sorry, what?
So
Yeah, there was one
they
with the
did-
T-Rex.
They did 2 Jurassic Parks. He has the one with the 3 Raptor team and the InGen team that has Muldoon, and then the other one is Ellie Sadler and a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing, and I kind of want them now. I kind of want them.
Yeah. I'm running out of room with I've kind of run out of room with all of my Unmatched. I can probably get like 1 2-player set that I can really fit in the 2 boxes that I have. But
I was never enthusiastic for the game until the co-op one came out, and I actually kickstarted that one
Yeah.
because, first of all, I knew if Brady wasn't going to, I needed to because Nikola Tesla was in there, and I know with that,
And the
I know,
Loveland
I know,
Frog.
I know. Well, no, that's the one that put me over the top. Because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, there's Mothman, and it's like, and I'm just like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And then Brady, like once again, savior of my board gaming existence, comes in and goes, you know, the Loveland Frog's in there. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'd scroll down a little bit. Back it twice,
Yes.
back it 3 times. Okay, take away 2 of the backing. Sorry about that. Restoration.
That copy is also at Barnes and Nobles.
Yep. Yeah, but it isn't as cool as mine because I have special Kickstarter cards that are foil
Yes.
embossed, so that's pretty cool. But the reason why I would jump with the Marvel, not with anything else, although I almost got the one, it's a 2-pack with Oda Nobunaga and Tomoe. I can never remember the last name. But yeah.
I can't remember. I know
But
which
yeah,
one you're talking about.
'cause,
That one's the like one of the least interesting ones for me, but I get
See, to
I
me,
get what
that one's more to my top because
Yeah.
of the Sengoku Jidai. So yeah.
There was one. It was Houdini versus the genie.
Yeah, I want that one because they both look really really cool.
The artwork on that just looks fantastic. Like that'd be great too.
The
But-
artwork on the whole series looks
and
pretty cool.
so the thing about Unmatched that they've started doing is they are basically like retiring some stuff where they're like, okay, these older sets, we're not going to make those anymore. So some of the older sets you kind of have to like the one of the first ones was Bigfoot versus Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're both like really good fighters, but you can't like play them anymore. I found like so you can do like tournaments with this, and I found I've watched some people like talk about how to do the tournaments, and it's like really cool. Where you
I am
like,
the Mothman.
where
I
you
choose
like
the Mothman.
where you choose the board, like you kind of eliminate like a board and a fighter and things like that until you have like a smaller group that to pair with. It was actually pretty cool, but yeah, like you can do stuff like that with this because it's a one-on-one game. Yeah, it's a really cool system.
Yeah. And what got me for that is so I got the co-op version. We had the 4 there because it's him, Annie Christmas,
I don't remember the other
Golden
chick's
Bat.
name.
the Golden Bat, which that model just being there was awesome. And that's a great looking model. I love that model. I love the Ghost Rider from Redemption Row is a,
yeah,
is
that
a
one's
fantastic
rad.
model.
Yeah.
But now I can have the battle I've always wanted, the Mothman versus the heroes of the Marvel of
Yeah.
the universe. I can't wait. It's
Yes.
going to be great.
I think my favorite set so far that I've got is Cobble and Fog. It's got it's Dracula, the Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I saw that.
Wait, hold on. And then guess the fourth one.
Okay.
So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Invisible Man, and Dracula. Guess the fourth one.
Bride of Frankenstein.
You're saying Bride of Frankenstein. Ethan, what are you saying?
I know who it
Okay.
is.
Oh, you know who it is? Okay,
Yes.
so we do a guess. Give it to him.
Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
And he's actually like really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
That's
really
interesting.
It was like, the Invisible Man, you're over there. How can you tell? I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Because none of his if they have their name on the card, none of their abilities can be canceled.
Oh.
Yeah. And his is all about like guessing what a person has like in their hand or on their deck or whatever, but then you can also like you have cards that like look at their hand and stuff like that. Yeah.
He's one that as you play more and understand like other people's decks, that one becomes kind of almost broken.
Yeah, he's one of the top ones.
Of all the characters and figurines, fuck the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil
Fuck
fucked
the
you all
de-
over.
Yeah, that
Fuck
was
the Jersey Devil.
that one was a rough one. Yeah.
Like the removing the discard was bad, but there's very few fighters that can pull stuff back from their discard pile.
Yeah.
The I hit you, discard 4 cards.
Yeah.
Oh God, like all of a sudden all of your options are going out the window, and once you lose your deck, it's not a matter of okay, I reshuffle it and no, you don't do that. You just you have no deck. And anytime you would draw a card, instead take 2 damage across all of your fighters.
Yeah.
So if you're like one of those people that has like four like Electra is a good example of this. If you run out of your deck and you just like have to draw a card, whatever hand ninjas you have out, they immediately die because they only have 1 hit point apiece.
And if you don't have if you don't have cards in your hand also, then you just really can't do anything.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how you attack is by
Right.
playing cards.
And
from
it's
your
how
hand.
you defend. If
Yeah.
you can't, yeah.
So you can't attack, you can't defend, or you have a lot fewer options with that.
When you're playing the cooperative version, do you like merge 2 boards together, or
No,
They
it's
just
one
have their
giant
own
board.
special board.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah,
For the
and
cooperative.
those that Mothman and Martian Invaders
and
miniatures
it's like
are
it's
amazing.
2 different sides, right?
Yes.
There's
Yeah,
the
'cause
Martian side, and then there's the
one
Mothman
side's West
side.
Virginia and the other one is like the Midwest, and you have to like
Yeah.
keep them from
You're
taking
doing
cows and crops.
wildly
over.
different things with each of them.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Real quick, since I mentioned AOS, I'll also mention this part. So the Sting Summer Sale. The Spring Summer Sale is on Steam is going on right now, and I picked up Realms of Ruin.
Okay. Nice.
Because I got the full deluxe version for $18. If I wanted just the regular version right now, it's on sale for $17. A premium edition, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it comes with way more DLC, like the Yndrasta and not Gobsprak.
Okay,
And then upcoming soon, the next DLC is coming out, which is Kurdras, the Craven King, and the Gaunt Summoner. Which the Gaunt Summoner model is like one of my favorite models in the
Gaunt
game.
Summoner is
Period.
cool.
Because it's just this tall, thin, alien-looking motherfucker with eyes all up its arched head. And when I say it's like its head is like a reverse arch, and it's creepy looking.
Yeah.
And so I've been excited. I played it a little bit. I only just got it last night. It's kind of like it feels like your. If you ever played Dawn of War, it's very similar to Dawn of War in that it's squad based. It's a little bit tighter, and from what I've played so far, I can't wait to get a little bit more into it. But at the price point, I had to jump
Yeah, I was
on
about
it.
to say it seems like $20 is probably worth it, but
I also got Fury of Dracula for $5.
Hell yeah.
So that was pretty good.
Nice.
And I can't wait to jump on that as well.
Can I piggyback off your Steam sale?
Absolutely.
So it would behoove me to say that Control's Ultimate Edition's $9.99 right now.
oh wow.
One of my favorite games for the PS4. Like, it's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
You can get the Halo Master Chief Collection for $10.
Oh wow.
Control is $9.99.
You save a penny.
Yeah. I don't have anything from the Steam sale because my computer can't play most games.
There you go. All right.
Gotcha.
And that's me.
Alrighty. Jay, do we have any feedback?
Thank God, no, we don't.
Thank
Okay.
God we don't.
Only not in general. We always love feedback, but
Yeah.
tonight we were already hour and 13 minutes into recording right now,
Right.
which you didn't hear a chunk of that. I haven't decided yet, but there we go.
Right.
But yes, if you'd like to give feedback, and we will listen to your feedback, ladies and gentlemen, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody, where else can they get in touch with us?
You can message us
fuck was that?
directly.
That started out tired and then became Cockney, and I'm not
through
apologizing.
Spotify and take place in any polls we may or may not have.
Also, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being passengers of the omnibus. If you would like to share this experience with other people, but they don't listen to podcasts on the stuff you listen to podcasts on, we're available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Saga.
That just about does it, fellas. Let's go into the main topic. In the world of film media, you have different categories. You have 2D animation, you have live action, you have CGI films. Very rarely will you find a combination of these things. But tonight we're going to be talking about the combination of live action and 2D animation films.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these, me personally, I've seen a lot of these growing up. Living with my father, he very much enjoyed the live action animation crossovers, and so I think this is just gonna be like an open discussion.
Yeah,
if
I believe
correct.
so.
Does anyone want to kick off with the film?
Well, like
Or anything?
early in like I think it goes back as far as like not necessarily what we're going to be getting to with the mixing, but like early on in Disney's animation in Snow White,
Can we?
Oh.
So I have some stuff that's actually
Go
a
ahead.
little bit earlier than that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to like because Disney I think was one of the real big ones who did the combining of that. But it started, so from what I could find, the earliest that people see it as like the earliest film that combined animation, 2D animation and live action was actually in 1900. It's called the Enchanted Drawing by J. Stuart Blackton. And a lot of it's because these early films, they started out as kind of just doing camera tricks. You know, what's his name? Milieu. He was a magician, so he do all these little camera tricks, and this is like one of them where he draws like a face that starts moving, and then he draws like a vase and or a bowl or something, and like actually pulls it out of the drawing and stuff like that. But then you get to like the 1920s with Max Fleischer. He's a big one who would do live action and mixed up, and one of his series was Coco the Clown. One of his characters, there's actually Coco's animated, and he's like fighting a cat or a real life cat or something like that. And then from there, you also get the Disney. Some of the earliest stuff that they did was called the Alice comedies, where you had this little girl, Alice, and she was like interacting with animated things, and there was a whole bunch of different shorts. And I think this was also in the late 20s, where she's doing that. And then we get into, if I'm not mistaken, that Alice is actually like the inspiration for Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
I believe so.
I could be wrong about that, but yeah, that's kind of like the super early beginnings of this, where it would usually have somebody kind of interacting with in an animated world, interacting with something live action or vice versa. But yeah, and then you get into Disney started doing their stuff, and there's several of those where they do some of this. Some of them that we talk about now, and some of them that they don't talk about anymore.
That is true.
Yeah. One of the earliest films of theirs, and stop. I don't mean to step over anything
go
that
ahead,
you were
Brady.
talking about earlier, but you got like
fine.
the Three Caballeros. That was in 1945.
Yeah.
Where you've got, I believe it's Donald interacting with like a live action person, but it's in an animated world.
Right.
There's different kind of categories of this. Sometimes it'll be like a live action person actually going into the animated world, and then sometimes it'll be the animated world coming into the live action. But yeah, you've got we'll mention it quick because it actually does this. But Song of the South is not mentioned anymore in Disney's history for good reason, but more because they would prefer you to not remember that they actually ever made that
that
movie.
it ever existed.
Right.
Yeah.
That was 1946. That had like most of the time in that they would like cut to a cartoon, but they also had the cartoons actually interacting with the live action world, like little birds and shit.
Right.
That's all we need to say about that movie. I think.
Right, of course.
You got the big one. Stop me if there's anything in between these that I'm skipping over.
There's also like instead of like it being fully integrated for like a whole film, there's the one movie that has Fred Astaire and Jerry Mouse.
Oh yeah,
that they
That
do
is,
a dance sequence together.
I have that.
I think it's Anchors Away.
in 1945.
Yeah.
This was like Warner Brothers and stuff like that. Yeah, that was 1945. Warner Brothers also did. It was kind of a documentaries type thing where it was like a behind the scenes thing called "You Ought to Be in Pictures." That was in 1940,
Right.
and it had like Bugs Bunny and all of them like interacting with like the people actually drawing. It was like a behind the scenes type documentary thing.
Right.
So you had those. But yeah, like the Anchors Away, that's where Gene I think it's Gene Kelly.
I think you're right. I think you're correct. I think it's Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly's dancing with like I think it's Tom and Jerry in that.
I think it's
or-
mostly Jerry.
Yeah,
but
Jerry,
yeah.
the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then you also had kind of the one of the bigger ones where the whole thing isn't like animation plus that, but there's like a sequence in it, and that's Mary Poppins.
That's the big one that pops
Yeah.
out for
That's
me.
Mary Poppins.
It's the one where it's two songs.
Yeah,
It's like about 10 minutes or so, or it feels like 10 minutes, and it's the it's a wonderful day or a lovely day to be with Mary or
Yeah.
whatever that song is, and then it goes into supercalifragilisticexpialidocious,
Yeah.
which is like an amazing scene. It really
Yeah.
pops. That movie's great anyway. It's an amazing film.
I'd like to take this moment to speak about Dick Van Dyke and
Yes.
the fact his movements as a human being mesh so well with the animation that's
With the
going on
penguins
back
and
there.
everything,
The
yeah.
penguin
Everything about that, like he's still going.
He's
Yeah.
still spry.
like
Yeah.
he's now that Betty White has gone on to eat with her brother in Valhalla.
I'm pretty sure Dick Van Dyke just passed away earlier this year.
No, I
Are you-
I do not
I
believe
don't
that.
think
Oh, no, I want to confirm this.
Dick Van Dyke still kicking at
Okay.
98
Never
years
mind.
old.
Okay.
Never mind.
So
Still
yeah,
kicking.
no, the
Yeah.
place setting at Valhalla for him is not ready yet.
I know he was on Masked Singer last year.
Jesus
Because
Christ.
on
Yeah,
Masked Singer-
I recall that.
He did. There was a musical that he just did recently where he did his own dance routine.
Yeah,
Jesus
What the
Christ.
fuck?
that was just a
He
couple.
started
of
out as the chimney sweep, and then he's the old man in Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Uh,
yes.
yeah.
No, that was it.
He was the old
he
man.
was,
was
he
the
was
old
in
man.
Mary Poppins.
There-
the
Yeah, he
other
was the
Mary
second
Poppins.
character. Yeah.
There's a Google search saying, "How is Dick Van Dyke still alive?"
They did a
because you can't kill all of the good in the world.
Yeah.
God damn it.
they did like a very special like Mary Poppins show that he was in about like 5 years ago, and he was actually like in the show. He danced with them in
Oh,
the
wow.
show at
That's
like
crazy.
90 something.
Yeah.
So he's an amazing person.
He got his start in entertainment at WDSU over in New Orleans.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Didn't know
crazy.
that.
Blows
Dude.
my mind.
When
That's
they
crazy.
take the Masked Singer real quick, when they take the mask off after his he was like one of the first ones eliminated, like almost all the judges were crying. Like
Oh, wow.
because they were just like overwhelmed because
Yeah.
of how much of an impact Dick Van Dyke's had on
Yeah.
like everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with a lot of us, it's more like the people that we like were inspired by him. But yeah, a lot of the people who are like the judges on The Masked Singer, like they're old enough to be like, okay, yeah, he personally like,
Right.
Like an
Affected.
actual living
Yeah.
legend.
But yeah, the animation scenes in that are like really well known.
Where they just jump into the chalk drawing.
yeah, they jump into
Yeah.
the drawing, yeah, which is like an amazing effect. And then it's one of the earlier ones that I think is a lot of the earlier ones, like it's not as crisp, but I think this
Right.
one is pretty crisp.
It holds up really
It holds
well.
up a whole lot better than a lot of those older ones do. And then in 1971, you got Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
You have that one.
This is a lesser known, but
That was
I
Angela
watched it a lot.
Lansbury.
It was.
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury. I can't remember the guy who was in it, but like she's like a mail order witch, like she took classes of a mail order thing to become a witch. That actually has a sequence where they also like go into this like cartoon world. I think they have to play like rugby or something with these animals. They have to play rugby or soccer. I can't remember.
Right.
It's been a while since I used to watch it a lot. But that also has a really cool sequence where she brings these suits of armor to life, and that's a really cool. I think that's probably more memorable in the movie because I had to think like, oh yeah, there is the sequence where the sequence where they do go into this like animal kingdom type place, and they have to like fight these animals to get something from the king or.
Was the Incredible Mr. Limpett, was it like a mix, or did he just turn into a cartoon fish? And
that one I'm not familiar with. So.
It's got Don Knotts.
It's Don Knotts. If I remember correctly, it's the beginning of it is live action. Then he gets turned into the fish,
and then just animation.
It's animation,
for
and
a
then
while.
the last 10 minutes, that's when you get the mix of live action and animation.
So it does have some of that in the movie.
Yeah.
They're when I was looking through this, I was like separating it into categories where there was like, okay, it's it's mostly live action, and then the cartoon world is interacting with it, or it's mostly animation, and then the live action world is coming in and interacting.
It won't be until later till it becomes a full blown.
And then some it like separates it out where like, okay, we have this animation, and some of those I'm gonna like mention, but like I'm not gonna go into. And then there'll be a live action part of it.
Are you familiar with the Incredible Mr. Limpett?
I do not know that one.
It is a Navy man who wants a simple life.
Yeah,
and he is.
He wanted to join the Navy, but they couldn't because he needed like strong glasses in order to be able to. And he also wanted to be a fish.
Yeah, he wanted to live the simple life of a fish.
So one of those dreams became true, and then both of those dreams became true.
He falls into the water, and then magic transformation sequence. Boom, he's a fish, and
with glasses.
With glasses, and the Navy uses him.
He's very important in winning the Battle of the Atlantic because he's able to turn. No. Look at me. Look at me. I need you to look at me. Look. Just look me in the face. All right. They're able to turn the tide in the Battle for the Atlantic because he's able to. When Nazi torpedoes are coming at them,
he's able to
use sound to direct them back at the Nazis.
He's able to yell at the missiles. And redirect them.
What? God damn.
Remember, the person yelling at the torpedoes
is the shakiest gun in the West.
Is Don Knotts.
I have seen this cover. I've never
Barney
actually watched.
Fucking Fife.
I've never watched the movie, but I have seen this cover. I think I saw it in the movie store and just never watched it because for some reason Don Knotts never drew me to anything.
Right.
I've seen a movie Brady's never seen before.
Animation.
Yeah.
There we go.
Did you ever see the old Gulliver's Travels live action animation combo?
Is that I read about one that was no, because that one it was Russian. They were but that was talk about like stop motion and animation,
right?
And I didn't put it down because they had a whole section of like, okay, stop motion and stuff like that,
right?
But this might be a different one.
It might be.
I think so because the one I read about was like Russian, but I might know what you're talking about. I've watched like several versions of Gulliver's Travels. Right. I can't remember.
There's a lot of different versions of that movie.
Wasn't Ted Danson in one of them?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
It was like a TV series. It was like a mini series.
I never liked Jonathan Swift. So Jonathan Swift with Gulliver's Travels goes to Modest Proposal. I can respect the talent. I can respect the ability, but everything he wrote about it, I didn't appreciate.
Some things are
I like
dated.
A Modest Proposal.
Yeah, some things are dated very well compared to others because there's like Gulliver's Travels. I guess again. It's like it's like the newer DC movies. Like we hate them, most of us, or not hate them, but they're really boring and bland. But I mean, a 5-year-old grows up with it. Yeah. It's going to be his favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
A kid grows up with the Star Wars prequels, and
exactly.
He loves them.
Exactly. Or Shinedown, but.
When the crow meets the butter butterfly.
Come on, we've already
I'll
spent
give
like
you that
3 hours on our intro,
That's
on our
true.
first part.
That's true.
We
So let's move along through the 70s.
You've also got like Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon. That's a big one.
Mhm.
That's
Pete's
a big one.
Dragon. It was never one of my favorite movies.
I didn't love it.
and I think it was one of those where like the edges were to me the edges were kind of starting to show.
I feel like the only reason I enjoyed that as much as I did as a kid is because of how much I watched it.
Yeah.
Like so many nights of my grandmother sitting me in front of a TV like, hey, here's a dragon, watch it.
Ethan's the last latchkey
The
kid.
weird,
Wait,
the-
legitimately, that's how she said it. It's like, here's a dragon, watch it.
Yes.
that's funny.
Highlander, here's two people cutting their heads off, watch it.
I was really
Your grandma's metal as fuck, dude.
here's RoboCop.
Here's a cop who's a robot shooting people until all there's nothing
I
left.
watched that movie when I was very
Watch
young.
it.
I actually did watch that with my grandmother.
There you go. With,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
with just grandma, that is an amazing combo. Your
Tell me how Silence of the Lambs went with watching it with grandma.
I was probably like maybe 6 when I watched RoboCop.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that one I think is doesn't hold up as well. Like it's very. So the problem with a lot of these is, especially these early ones, is that it's very obvious that the people, it never feels like the people and the thing are on the screen
Right.
together. They might every once in a while do some little things that make you kind of feel like it, but it still doesn't feel like it.
There's a reason why people don't remember Bed Knobs and Broomsticks as
Yeah.
a classic.
Yeah, I remember it because it got recorded for me and I watched the fuck out of it. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to let y'all take over because my brain. Okay, so when you mentioned RoboCop,
Oh God.
Jay hasn't been in this conversation for the past 3 minutes. He's been having his own conversation. Let's go to what Jay was.
Rewatching
Please
RoboCop in his
understand.
head.
This is so. I've been thinking about animation. So I was thinking about the crows from Dumbo. And then I thought, what if you combine them with RoboCop and you get Crobocop? And that's all I've been able to think about for the last 3
And the
minutes.
lead one is named Jim.
No.
We did talk about Zippity Doo Dah earlier.
Well, because there's no live action in Dumbo. Like,
That's true.
There isn't. But see, that's the whole thing.
I was
Like,
actually quick tangent. This week's
tangent off this tangent.
the Behind the Bastards this week is about the creator of Dennis the Menace, who is apparently a very shitty parent and husband. He worked at Disney during the Disney strike that happened in the early 40s, and they were working on Dumbo while that strike happened. Like the whole reason that the animators won the strike was because they needed to get Dumbo out, or else they wouldn't be able to pay off their debts. Because Walt Disney said, "Hey, let me borrow a whole bunch of money to build like a $10 million at the time studio, studio campus."
There you go.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm
Very
out.
interesting
I'm
thing.
out of service right now because of Crobocop. So I apologize.
Are we still in the 70s with films? Or,
yeah, we're still in the
we're still in the
70s.
70s
still
because
in
we
the
just
70s.
mentioned the early 70s. So
Okay. I have like
I thought you had something. Like,
this is just me questioning because I have a
You're
list.
the host. You control.
I know.
You control.
But he's going in chronological order.
I'm out of service.
You're thinking of Crobocop.
Brady,
Yes.
Brady, continue on with this podcast, please.
Yeah. I was asking because you're going in chronological order.
John Brady Davis. I'm sorry.
Christ. All right. And something we didn't mention at the beginning was a lot of early animation was done with rotoscoping,
Yes.
which rotoscoping is taking like a live action picture, and it was actually created by Max Fleischer, the apparatus, the early apparatus for this.
That's
I think
how those Superman cartoons are very fluid.
Yeah,
Those early
you take
40s.
and a lot of like super early cartoons. They would use Cab Calloway was actually a model. They would do his dancing around. And they would put like sometimes it was a ghost, sometimes it was a clown. Like there's different ones that you can see.
Right.
But they would project like a live action person doing something, and then they would basically just draw.
They would
over
draw
it.
the outline around it. Yeah. Snow White's a big one for
Yeah,
that too.
Snow White. A lot of the reasons why that holds up so well
Is because it's rotoscoped.
Is because it's rotoscoped.
Yeah.
And they would do that. A lot of the early ones did that. But a lot of that also leads to like a meshing of live using rotoscoping in a different way to not just fully animate over it, but to do some kind of effect over it. And that leads us to one Ralph Bakshi. The two biggest ones I think where he used rotoscope where it's actually like live action was his Lord of the Rings movie and then Wizards. Where Wizards is one of the few that I haven't like fully watched all the way through, but I don't know about that. But I think in Lord of the Rings it was like the dark armies of Mordor. They like drew effects over them.
Yeah,
and stuff like
the
that.
same. It was pretty much the same thing in Wizards, right, Jay? Like it's
Yeah.
pretty much some like shadowy figures in the background.
Yeah.
but it was rotoscoped.
Or in the foreground, but
foreground.
you're not supposed to like. You're supposed to see it as a horde. You're supposed to see it as
Yeah.
like a single-minded, like malevolent thing.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi was really big on like doing kind of like avant-garde type things with animation and different things
also,
like that.
it saved him money.
Yeah, it saved him money. I think American Pop also has some rotoscoping where they do some live action stuff.
It's mostly
that one I
rotoscope.
haven't watched, so
it's
I'd
on Tubi. It's amazing. You need to watch it.
I need
It's
to watch
really
that.
good.
That's one of the ones that I was watching all of his movies on YouTube, and for some reason that one
It's probably
got
like
taken off.
Yeah, that one was right before Fire and Ice, and it's probably one of my favorite ones he's ever done.
Yeah.
Like the art style is great, the story is great. It's a perfect movie.
Yeah, he was really big with doing like the rotoscope effects, and he was one of the ones who would use it to do different effects instead of just we're not just animating, but we're also putting live action.
Now, Fire and
in
Ice
there.
is also almost completely rotoscoped for the most part. So,
But it does have, I don't know that I haven't watched that one either. But I don't know about the sequence because I know that like the ones that I'm talking about like have actual like sequences where you can tell like this is not fully animated.
Yeah, the Fire and Ice is rotoscoped like Snow White. There is no live people in it.
Okay, and I think we'll eventually get to another one of Bakshi's works. with that.
Almost. I will bring it up.
Yeah.
If
I
I'm
have
Jay,
it.
then me.
I
I
will
have it here.
I will say two things. My favorite rotoscoping ever, in a movie that is not live action at all, but in the original Transformers movie, the transformation scene for the Decepticons that get changed by Unicron, specifically Megatron and Galvatron, that is rotoscoping.
Yeah, that's one of my
And
favorite
that is
sequences of the
absolutely amazing. And just in general, Bakshi for me as far as product is hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I will always respect the fact that he tried to make animation a respectable art form for more than just children.
He is kind of like the Wachowskis, where he always wanted to do his own thing,
Yes.
and made big swings.
He did those things.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
definitely
those
did those
things.
things. And
Yeah.
I want to mention real quick, like one of my favorite sequences in Heavy Metal is the last story. That's almost all rotoscoped.
yeah. You can always tell.
Except for when the house explodes.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be rotoscoped, but they didn't have enough in the budget, so they just filmed the miniature blowing up.
Yes.
So that's technically kind of live action.
I didn't want heavy metal to be mentioned,
No,
but now it did.
Yeah, this is what
I had
this
it
is what
blocked.
this is what happens, host, when you don't preface things with like, okay, I don't want this a part of it. Then we would have done it. You didn't do that. That's what you get.
I had that. I had just heavy metal blocked in my memory.
Well, I'm
And
your
now you've
one-way ticket to midnight. How about that?
And then when you talk about one that, and I most of my stuff didn't. We're sticking with like 2D animation, but if we mention rotoscoping, we have to mention Tron.
Yes.
Which uses rotoscoping live action, and instead of using like drawn animation,
It's
it uses some
computer
of the
animation.
very earliest
very early
CGI. The meshing with that.
Right.
So and the way the painstaking work that they had to do on that to rotoscope everything to give it that interesting look that nowadays it feels dated, but it also feels like not in different ways. It's very hard to you can tell that this was made back in the day, but
It's an artifact of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely that.
Because I think for every once you get into the computer world, I think every frame is 4 separate frames.
Yeah.
Like one is the actors, one is the glow, one is the actual rotoscoping, and there's like a 4th frame there.
Yeah.
That's that on the back end to me,
Right.
the amount of time that was necessary to do that, like, and it to me, I feel it holds up, but that is nostalgia there as well. But you have to respect the craftsmanship in that to attempt something that has never been attempted for to that scale.
It reflects the technology of the time as far as movie making, and it's trying to simulate using that what it would look like inside of a virtual computer world. And I think it nails it.
And I think that this leads us to what I think is like the apex of
Yes.
animation and live action together.
Right.
And that is a little movie from 1988 called Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
This is legitimately one of my favorite movies of all time. I used to watch the shit out of it as a
I used to
kid.
watch it
Still
quite a
watch
bit.
it today, and it holds up so well.
If it
Let me-
comes on, I'm never going to jump for the remote to
Yeah.
change it.
And I'll just co-sign that by just paraphrasing what you said. This is the zenith of this art
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
And I give all the credit to Robert Zemeckis.
Robert Zemeckis, and he doesn't get near as much the animation director, the guy who supervised all the animation, Richard Williams.
There you go.
Yeah. Because Robert Zemeckis did all the live action stuff. They shot the live action and then they gave all the footage to Richard Williams's company, animation company, where they did all this stuff. The reason why like this I think that this one holds up, like even today, like it holds up so well. Like
It's so clean.
it never not feels like
Right.
these characters are there. And it's because what's been termed as bumping the lamp. And this comes from, there's a sequence about midway through the movie where Roger and Eddie are handcuffed together, and they're in the back, and they're in like this secret room of this like bar, and they're trying to get themselves free, and Roger's being really annoying, and Eddie yanks him up, and as he yanks him up, he hits a lamp, and the lamp starts swaying back and forth. And if you watch it, the shadows on Roger match how the light is moving.
Oh, wow.
So he not only interacts with the light, but the light interacts with him. Like it looks right.
like the animated characters are actually affecting and being affected by their environment.
that's the big thing. Oftentimes you will have it where they'll do like in Pete's Dragon, like the dragon will blow and like the wind will blow and stuff like that. But like they are also being affected by the world. And I think that is like one of the things that like makes it like the pinnacle, the zenith, as Jay put it.
The one thing that blew my mind was, of course, the whole movie is just amazing, but near the end scene where they show Christopher Lloyd and his toon eyes come out. I'm like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah.
They like the work like Richard Williams. I watched some behind the scenes stuff a while back, and this is kind of what got me the idea of it started out as, hey, let's just watch Roger Rabbit and talk about it. But
Right.
then, I think that this is a good subject as well, just the whole thing. But like he took so much painstaking work, and it's just little things. Like there's a sequence where Roger and Eddie are sneaking around, and in the live action, like Roger, of course, is like much shorter than Eddie Valiant, but when in the sequence when he turns to look, he's not in eye line with Roger where Roger would be looking at. So what they did was they animated Roger like up against the wall, standing on his tiptoes, like kind of spread out, so then it matches his eye line. So they do little things like that to make sure like they always feel like they're in the world.
One of my favorite things I found out about this is they're in Eddie's apartment and there's still handcuffs, and I think it's like, is it the Weasels?
The
or is it-
Weasels,
yeah,
the
the
Toon
Weasels.
Squad.
Yeah, they come and they start questioning Eddie. He's like, hey, where's Roger Rabbit? And Eddie's like holding him in the water under the tank in the sink. And one of the Weasels pulls out a gun, like an actual prop gun.
Yeah,
it's not animated or anything.
It's a non-animated gun.
And like the fingers are like interlapping with the trigger, the handle of it, and the way they actually did that is they had a guy underneath the set holding the prop gun with a very thin stick.
Gotcha.
And so they animated the the weasel around it.
That's amazing.
And so it's
And there's even a spot because he's hiding Roger in the sink while he's washing his laundry. And Roger will like stick his head out and like spit real water. So they had like these they had this spout like that they made to pop in and out. And then the weasel like actually like splashes water on Eddie. Like it like just the amount of time and effort that they put to make sure to all these little bitty things where they're just constantly interacting with the real world.
And some of the bigger things like the car sequence.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
isn't he driving an animated car?
Yeah,
at
he's
some
in
point?
an animated car.
Right.
And he's driving around and like the wind's blowing and the car is driving past and he's going the taxi is going really fast. So it like blows some bystanders kind of off kilter.
Right.
And like just, man, it's like just the amount of craftsmanship that is put into this is just so crazy.
I'd like to throw two things in here.
Okay.
The first thing that I'd like to throw in, the other thing for me, the bumping the lamp is important, and I would say is actually more important than what I'm about to mention here, but it was also the fact that when you had real life and animation mixed together in movies, it was typically a static shot, a shot where it just sits there. That is not the case with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You have a few of those, I guess, to kind of like ease into it, but you have shots where you have motion tracking with the camera, where they're moving with it. Everything is going good there. It's amazing there. You mentioned the craftsmanship, and the second thing I would say is this. Nowadays, it is effectively a flipping of a few switches and a pushing of a few buttons, and you can get the animation that you need now. Not to say that I don't appreciate that. If anything, there's a lot of mastery behind the technology of actually building that technology now. But without those benefits, they created this, and it still stands the test of time. Yes.
Also, another thing about this movie is that there's a lot of different licensed characters.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that got people in the door, where it's like, wait, Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny are together on screen? Like, that's crazy.
Donald and Daffy having
Donald
a
and
piano
Daffy.
contest.
Yeah. The logistics of getting that together is crazy, because that is, you can't even think of that nowadays. Like, it's impossible to think of nowadays. Now, what they had to do was they said, okay, we can, Warner Brothers and Disney was like, yes, we can have our people in there, but
The other company
you
can't have.
You have to show them together, like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. If you look at it, they're always together, and they always have the exact amount of screen time, and neither one of them gets over on the other. They are both equal in this. So that's why during the Ink and Paint Club scene, which, God, the fucking octopus and bartender in that, the shit that they had to do for that is amazing.
The penguins walking around with the server trays.
But like, the reason why they both lose in that is because they had to have equal things happen to them. They have to be shown equally, and they have to, like, one can't be shown above the other. Like, so that's why every time you see Mickey Mouse, you see Bugs Bunny in the movie. It's the same with all the other characters too. But like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just the shit that they just the little things that they did, it's so amazing.
And we have licensed characters. You know, we have an amazing.
I'm sorry, I stopped completely what you were saying.
No. We're at the right point we need to be at. You know, so Roger Rabbit. We have licensed characters from all kinds of different properties. We have Bob Hoskins. We have multiple amazing voice actors.
Let's not forget Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. I mentioned him earlier. Christopher Lloyd's fucking stellar in that. And we have all these like well thought out plots, subplots.
It is a noir movie. Like, it is done exactly. It was inspired by Chinatown.
Yeah, and it's like Dick Tracy done right kind of situation where, like, that's a live action movie.
Take that, Warren Beatty.
Take that, Warren Beatty and Madonna. And then
Al Pacino.
And Al Pacino.
Yeah, he's in that.
And your McDonald's promotions or Burger King or whatever it was. And then
I want Dick Tracy dead. That's my Al Pacino and Dick Tracy.
And then we go to another live action animation crossover that has no licensed characters.
but does involve Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah.
Does
we come back
and Brad Pitt.
It all circles back and
Michelle Pfeiffer is
no,
Kim Basinger
and
Gabriel something.
God damn.
Usual
we were talking
Suspects?
about this last time.
Yeah, I forgot
his fucking name.
Yeah, look it
He
up.
was in Hereditary.
Yep.
He was in Miller's Crossing.
Yep.
Fuck.
Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, Byrne.
Okay.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I like him as an actor. It's just sometimes
My memory is better than the internet connection for Google right now.
Yeah.
Now here's my problem. Before we even get into this, his character is boring
Yeah.
and flat.
Yeah.
Who, Brad Pitt's?
No, Gabriel Burns.
Okay, gotcha.
Brad Pitt's main problem
I would
is
argue
that
that Brad Pitt's character is flat as well.
He is.
he
He is. Hollywood is the only because she's over the top.
Yeah. But even then, like, it's kind of
Yeah,
like
compared to the other characters, is over the top.
and it also doesn't help that like the most of the main plot is like some cartoon want or some human being want to fuck a cartoon and vice versa, and they can't do that because reasons.
We're talking about Cool World.
And
1992.
1992. Saw it in the theater.
Tried riding that.
I remember
Roger
seeing
Rabbit
this
train.
on the shelf in one of the two video stores and being like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome.
It was one of the few times where I was in the theater and I was watching, like, it was technically it's really cool looking, like, you know, with the live action and the animation and all that.
I would argue technically it's not cool
no,
looking
in 1992.
I would even in 1992.
No, I got a
I
co-sign on him.
I was there. So here's the thing.
I was also there.
Well,
I watched it as soon. I didn't watch it in theaters, but I watched it on videotape as soon as it came out. And as a kid, I was like, "Man, this does. Why doesn't this work?"
Hold on.
Okay.
So when you're in a movie theater, though, when you're watching a movie, it's you're there, and you know about halfway through, you just go, "This is really boring."
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when she becomes like, you know, when she tries to transition into the live action world and things start getting wonky, I'm like, this is supposed to be the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah.
And I am completely bored.
Yeah. It has a problem of not very well defined like rules of the world. Whereas contrast this with Roger Rabbit, like, you know, the rules of the world. In fact, they lay them out pretty well in what is basically an exposition scene,
Right.
But several exposition moments, I think, less scenes, but yeah, the rules are not very well defined, and like even like as a child, this goes back to like the technical thing. Like I never felt like these characters were actually there.
Well, I see that. I see
think
that point.
with the boring part, it leads to a lot of times what Bakshi likes to do is this kind of rambling stream of consciousness thing where you just have characters doing things and kind of saying things and mumbling things, and it can be very hard to follow sometimes. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it didn't really work that well in this movie,
I think the only rule that I remember is that if a toon dies in the real world, it just shows back up at Toontown.
Yeah, and if you fuck a toon, they become real life and you become more like a toon.
Yeah, and if
That's the only rules that they ever talk about.
And then if a real life person, what happens if a real life person dies in Toontown because they thought Brad Pitt's character was dead?
Yeah,
and he
I
turns
forgot
into a
about that.
toon at the end of the movie.
When I first saw
A
this,
badly drawn toon.
when I first saw this movie, I was still living with my dad. We're sitting in the living room. He says, "Hey, you want to watch a movie?" I'm like, "Sure." You know,
You guys like movies, right?
He puts on Cool World. Jesus Christ.
It wasn't
wait,
JT.
wait, hang on.
How
Hang-
old were
hang
you?
on.
How old were you?
I was 14.
Okay.
This was 1992. I was like 6.
I was 12.
I was 20.
He says, you like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right? I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
I'm like, yeah.
So he's just setting this up for failure.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. He's like, this is exactly
been
like
actually
that.
Your dad's a liar.
Man.
No. He says, this is exactly like that. you're going to like this.
Oh,
Those are the words
no.
my father told me when I watched this.
That challenge,
man.
yeah,
Get
challenge
that-
accepted, father.
Get that disappointment out early.
Failed. F. It's like the
And
red
a lot
stamp
of it
F.
is like the animation in it is very flatly drawn. Like there's no shading or anything. Like there's
Right.
no way that it looks like
They look. It seems like he drew inspiration from the 30s
Yeah.
for most of these characters and didn't really add a whole lot to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it like with Roger Rabbit, like watching that kind of behind the scenes stuff. Like there were like layers that they added onto the animation. Like it was so many layers of like different kinds of shading and different things like that. And it looks like they just literally just drew it and put it and put it on the screen together with it.
The movements of the animated characters look very stiff to me. Like there's that.
Which is weird because of the rotoscoping. Usually, like his stuff would be very smooth.
Right.
Like there's
Sometimes
There was no. I
unnaturally
don't think
so.
I don't think there was any rotoscoping
No, I
in
don't
Cool
think
World.
so.
like there's a scene where Hollywood is like dancing and like the movements is just
Hollywood, I think, is rotoscoped.
but
Maybe.
even then
I think she's at rotoscope.
even then
or
her
it looks
like
sort
her
of.
movements were like very like stiff.
So about 2 to 3 weeks ago, when we were putting the format for the month of shows to come, we kind of touched on this a little bit. And one of my reasonings, this is not the only reason why Cool World doesn't work, but part of this, in my opinion, comes from a place where the American film-going production does not want to take a chance on an animated film that is not specifically for children. It is not the only reason why Cool World falls short of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but Ralph Bakshi had been fighting that fight for 25 years.
That
at
was one of
least.
Bakshi's major things is to make
And I
animation
think-
not necessarily just for children.
And I think it's not so much that
absolutely
he gave up.
not for children.
Yeah,
Some of it.
yeah. See the Fritz of the Cat, which is
No.
still in the cellophane, right? No, okay. But I legitimately believe that by this point he was tired,
Right.
And it's like, oh, I believe that Cool World gets a green light because I could see this being an idea in his
Right.
head going back to the 70s.
Right.
I think it gets greenlit because of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and was
Because
not
it's
gi-
3
and-
years later.
and was not
Yeah.
given half the budget or a quarter of the production interest that Who Framed Roger Rabbit got. Now, I would also argue that the script is woefully lacking. Like
Yeah,
you said,
it's
like
not
when
interesting.
when you have to establish the world and the world
Yeah.
doesn't get established, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the exposition scene in Who Framed. I would also further on is you can have that scene, but if you then don't follow those rules later,
Yeah.
there's a disconnect. And they follow those rules in Who Framed.
Yeah.
And Cool World is like, what do we need for this scene? Okay, this is the rule that applies here now.
Yeah.
There's a haphazardness to the way this thing is set out in front of you that I feel destroys it before you have a chance
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
fall
the
in love
whole
with it.
plot is like the artist. It's one artist that
Yeah.
that create.
There's also, I wonder if Gabriel Byrne's character isn't a self-insert for Ralph Bakshi.
It could be.
I mean, it's there's probably definitely.
and I
at
think
least
he
a little
just
bit
like
there.
wishes his world that he created was real for him, and that's I
Yeah.
think that's what starts the story.
Which I think at its basest end, like I think for all animators or for all creatives, that the world, I think there's a part of you that wants
Right.
the world you created, you wish you could be a part of that. That's
Right.
one of the reasons why you created the world. Back in your now, I could also see the flip side of it. I want to create a world I would never want to have anything about and make a statement, make
Yeah.
statements based on
now
that.
now that you say that you said that like he was like basically a Mary Sue character, like Bakshi was like living through it. That makes perfect sense because I think I want to remember that the artist Gabriel Hollywood is his perfect vision of what a woman is, and he
Yeah.
wants her to be real, not necessarily that he wants to be in the world that he created.
Or that necessarily she wants to be real. Is it that she wants to be real because he created her and she wants to be happy for him, so she wants to be real because he wants her to be
But
real.
Bakshi, that's his typical, female drawing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes 100% sense to me that he's vicariously living
Yeah.
through that character.
I will say this, like, Cool World is ass. It's a bad movie.
It is a bad movie.
But I do appreciate like Ralph Bakshi, even like his stuff where you're watching, you go,
Right.
One movie we're not going to name because then we would have to put another content warning.
Yeah, we're
in
already
the-
up to 3.
There's like 2 or 3 movies that we can't name that
Yeah.
he did because there's some certain subject matter that we shouldn't be talking about.
Yeah.
Well, we can name them and then immediately move on from them, but
Yeah.
we won't even do that here.
No.
But no, American Pop, fantastic.
Oh yeah, American Pop is
I would say
amazing.
Wizards is good.
Yeah.
It's, although I will say this, when you, like just thinking about that, you look at that and all of a sudden there's a giant swastika right there. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But he is Jewish. We will say
No.
that.
And the Nazis are villains in that
Right,
movie.
yeah. Right, right,
Stress
right.
that as well there too.
I would say Fire and Ice, Wizards, and American Pop are like the 3 best things he ever did.
So going from Cool World, unless there's
We're in
some
the 90s now.
in the 90s, go from 1992 to 1996, I believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We have
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the best of these.
Yes.
But my favorite of these is Space Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Space Jam.
in my opinion, is the second best of these.
It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Like no. Craftsmanship, artwork, Who Framed, light years ahead.
Yeah.
I have too much fun watching the original Space Jam.
Yeah. Space
And
Jam
why
was kind
Space
of
Jam a new legacy? No.
it's hard to explain if you weren't there, like the what Space Jam like as a cultural moment.
It was a zeitgeist moment for
yeah,
sure.
it was absolutely a zeitgeist moment.
For me,
I didn't even like I wasn't even like a big sports kid,
Right.
and I was like, oh my god, Michael Jordan, this is so fucking cool.
Michael Jordan transcended sports.
Yeah,
Like his medium, like he was an artist and his medium
I think
was
this is what
sports.
like made that happen. Especially like this is what definitely helped that.
I think
is-
I had
is-
mentioned this before, but last year when we were talking about like what have we been doing, and I had never seen Space Jam
Oh wow,
because I was 24 when it came out. I was listening to 9 Inch Nails and hanging out with goth chicks, so I
Yep.
wasn't about Space Jam. So
and I had the soundtrack to Space Jam, and I listened the fuck out of that.
I watched the
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got a real jam going down. Welcome to the Space
If I
Jam.
get 'em high, get 'em high, get 'em high, and you get 'em low, get 'em low, get 'em low.
so the
I
second
believe no.
No,
so the second one came out, so I'm like, I've never seen the first one. I'm gonna watch Space Jam
Basketball Joe
and Space Jam 2.
Basketball Joe, baby.
And I hated it. I didn't like it at all.
yes, because it
It
wasn't
is-
good.
Space Jam, no,
No,
Space
no.
Jam, no. I'm talking about
The original
Space Jam.
I don't think is a good movie
Right.
necessarily.
No. Let me again allow me to co-sign on what he just said. While it sounds like I'm trying to be a hypocrite to my own statement, Space Jam is not good.
No.
Space Jam is fun.
Yeah,
It
Space
is
Jam is
ridiculously
dumb
fun.
It's dumb fun. It's not a good movie, but it is an enjoyable movie.
If
I
Lola,
can see like not have experiencing that back in the day,
Right.
Because I have that nostalgia as well. Like I thought for a very long time that it was a good movie, and then I listened to there's a podcast that I listen to. We Hate Movies sometimes where they just talk. Most of the time they talk about bad movies, and they had this on there, and I was like, oh yeah, it is kind of a bad movie because I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, it's not the greatest movie.
Yeah.
question for Jody from the corner.
Sure.
If Lola Bunny had a labret piercing and wore fishnets,
No.
would you have preferred her?
No. I'm not in that category.
No, you mentioned goth girls. I'm just waiting if we goth her up. Like, what if she?
No.
Oh, I'm
What,
certain that there's a Rule 34 about
what if
that.
she was
Oh,
really
sure.
into The Cure?
No.
Would
good.
you? Would you have been like sweet Lola Bunny?
Didn't The Crow come out in 94? Like 95, 94?
It's coming out again.
Oh, man.
You know what didn't
Man,
come out?
have you seen that trailer?
I have not.
It looks bad.
I have not.
You know what didn't come out in the 80s? Crobocop. But
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about it.
Jesus.
It also
Christ.
didn't come out in the 90s. But anyway, yeah, Space Jam.
Space
Yeah,
Jam.
Space Jam. It was like a cultural phenomenon. Like
It
it was
was.
fucking everywhere.
It was everywhere.
And it like I think it was one of those things that really propelled Michael Jordan was already like in like
Right.
really like
Yeah, it
at the
pushed him
top
over
of
the- it pushed
as
him-
like the most well known like athlete.
he
at that
became
time.
super famous to super duper famous.
But that like pushed him over to like he is even above that,
media icon.
And like they actually, again, like they didn't put nobody, I think, after Who Framed Roger Rabbit puts as much time and effort into making things look realistic, but it still wasn't terrible. It holds up better than a lot of movies.
I would argue that is the last time the Warner Brothers crew of animated characters was relevant.
Yeah. See, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
I have to say, well, I mean, like in movies for sure, but like Animaniacs.
I just love that
they tried to, because they tried.
No. I'm talking about the Bugs
OG
Bunny
characters.
Bugs Bunny,
I agree,
Sylvester, like the whole
100%.
thing.
Yeah,
Because that was like kind of towards the end of like Animaniacs and stuff, like Animaniacs, Looney Tunes,
Animaniacs was like
Tiny Toons.
was around. Tiny Toons was like 90?
early 90s.
Animaniacs was like mid 90s.
It was around this same time.
It was around. It just started.
They overlapped. They absolutely
because
overlapped.
I would watch Tiny Toons and Animaniacs like
Tiny Toon Adventures 1990.
1990.
Right. Animaniacs.
I would say 94, 95.
Probably.
It was around the same time period that had started.
93.
93.
Okay.
93.
Okay, yeah. No, they overlap in space and time.
Sure.
They had a crossover.
Did they?
Yeah. I'm almost guaranteed I remember that crossover.
Because
See if they had a crossover. I don't remember that.
Because Warner Brothers tries this again, like some 7 years later with Looney Tunes back in action.
I did not see that.
With
nobody did.
Yeah, it even had
did.
Academy Award winning actor Brendan Fraser in it.
Not at that time though.
He didn't have his Oscar yet.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing the fat suit in this one.
That was like Encino Man time period.
Yeah, this was kind of
Actually, no, that was just after The Mummy.
Oh,
it was around the same time. Yeah,
Was it really?
The Mummy
Yeah.
was late 90s. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
It's probably around the same time as the second one. But we're not here to talk about the Mummy.
Let's talk very briefly about The Mummy Returns. That's one of the more prevalent movies where you have human characters with CGI animated.
That was when
CGI
it started to be
character.
more prevalent.
That's what it was like. To me, the pinnacle, at least in that series, was the Mummy tornado where where the plane gets swallowed by that. I thought that scene
the first one
still
the first one is legitimately a good movie. It's kind of I feel like it's kind of a successor to like Indiana Jones.
I think like if you want to briefly, the Frighteners was like the first really.
Frighteners is another good one.
95. That's when.
Don't forget Casper.
Yeah.
Also around that time.
The CGI had started making it.
If Lola Bunny had been played by Christina Ricci,
No.
would that have done it for you?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Oh man.
You mentioned goth girls. I'm like, how can we make Space Jam better for Jody? And I'm thinking just turn Lola Bunny into a goth girl.
And then you get some. There are also like I mentioned before. There are these movies where they throw in the live action and the animation are kind of separated. They kind of transition either back and forth or they go from one to the other. And those are 1994. You have the Page Master.
Right. That movie's also not very good.
Yeah, it's not very memorable. It's like I barely remembered it.
Some movies are made for kids and some are made for toddlers.
Yeah,
you know.
And then you have 2001. You have Osmosis Jones. That has live action sections.
It flips between
it just flips between, like there's never
Bill
really
Murray and
interaction between that.
Yeah.
But I think that one was a pretty good movie. But yeah, it doesn't really do much. There's no work with interacting with it. You just have live action with Bill Murray, and then you have the Osmosis Jones inside the body thing.
Right.
I always think of Inner Space when I think of Osmosis Jones because it's effectively
Same
a similar plot.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a 1970s movie that the animated characters don't interact with the human characters in the same shot, but in the same scene, and that is Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the Terry Gilliam
Animations, but particularly when they're talking with God. That's one where the fandom killed me for it. Like, I think that movie is genuinely funny.
Yeah.
But if you are
it's a
quoting
really good
it
movie and it
all
holds
the
up.
fucking time, I'm going to start. It's like, you're using coconut. Yeah, I'm using fucking coconuts. Fuck you. Get away from me. And then I stab them with a coconut.
Yeah.
I got a funny little thing about that movie. So one of the quintessential quotes from that movie, one of the like funniest parts the first time you see it, happens because John Cleese forgot his
I know what
line.
parts you're talking about.
And
yeah.
they're like, tell me, sorcerer, what is your name? And he goes, some call me Tim. He pauses because he
Yeah.
can't remember his actual name.
There was an actual name. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like the fandom of that, like gets because it's like, come on, quote another movie, please.
And also, it seems like it comes from like that's the only Monty Python movie they know.
Yeah, and to be honest, that is probably the only Python.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's why. Like,
Yeah.
And I will admit, like I think that is the best Monty Python movie. Like that's
That one and Brian. I think Life of Brian is
Brian's
really
good,
great.
too.
My
But, like,
favorite scene ever from any of the Monty Python movies is the Mr. Creosote scene, because that is just
from the
that
meaning
is-
of life.
yeah, that is
One
so,
more wafer.
that's so over the top. Like you can't like if you're taking that serious, like, or
Right.
if you don't like, if you understand that this is not to be
Right.
meant to be taken deathly fucking seriously, you can absolutely.
That's
enjoy
also
that
where
scene.
you get Every Sperm is Sacred.
Yep.
Which is a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song. I think honestly, my favorite like series of dialogue is from Life of Brian, which is it's like, I'm not the Messiah. Only the Messiah would claim he wasn't the Messiah. Okay, then I'm the Messiah. The Messiah. And that's how we got Dune.
I was about to say Dune Part 2. Did they rip that off?
That's how we got Dune. There we go. But yeah, no, I
Of course, the Lisan Al Gaib is too humble to say that he is the Lisan Al
Son of
Gaib.
Gaib, yeah. Yes.
Goodness.
He picks up a cat and pets it, and Javier Bardem goes, Son of Gaib.
I think my favorite part about Life of Brian is
Is Dune Part 2?
no when they're talking about
when he
the
rode the sandworm.
the
That's
people,
really the best
people
part.
of the Judea's movement versus the Judea's people's
Yes.
movement. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
There recently is a movie came out starring Lakeith Stanfield called The Book of Clarence,
Clarence.
which is basically the life of Brian.
Oh, okay.
But he's I think he's also the Messiah or something like that. No. He hears about Jesus being the Messiah and he's like, well, if I say I'm the Messiah, I can like grip people out of some money. So he like starts pretending to be him.
Wasn't Stanfield also in Judas and the Black
He
Messiah?
was in Judas and the Black
So he's
Messiah.
just basically like kind of like riding a line right now.
Yeah.
Like
He
Did
was
you ever
also-
see that Ricky Gervais movie where he's in a
No.
world?
No.
Oh,
You were shut down very fast, Jody.
okay.
Is that the one where the invention of lying or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd never watched it.
It's really good.
I cannot stand Ricky Gervais.
Really?
I despise Ricky Gervais.
Oh, okay.
Before it became unpopular to like Ricky Gervais, I didn't like Ricky Gervais.
Okay.
And I was on.
I was not
like,
a hipster about hating Ricky Gervais, but I don't like Ricky Gervais.
Well, I didn't really know him that well when I saw that movie.
I can see that. I can see that. That was a little bit before he became super insufferable.
That was before I think he hosted the World War
Golden
show.
Globes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Golden Globes. Yeah,
Yeah.
but back on
Back on track.
track.
Are there any more live action animated films that we want to discuss?
I just wanted to wrap up with a few. I'm not going to talk like super much about them because when we get into like the 2000s, that's when we get more to
That's when you get more like
CGI.
it's less hand drawn animation and it's more like a CGI character interaction because that's when you get like your Garfields, your Smurfs,
your Alvin and the
your
Chipmunks.
Alvins and the Chipmunks.
And I would also argue you have more surreptitious CGI animation in movies that you don't notice. Like,
Yeah.
because it's still on, at least in me and Brady says, Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
The entire crowd in the Giddy Prime scene, those aren't people. Those are literally
Yeah.
just
Right.
generated. You see more animation now
Right.
that just kind of floats in the background. The Rise of Skywalker, the Sith Stadium scene,
Right, right.
those are not
Yeah.
people there.
Yeah.
It's like it's becoming more and more. Like, I would argue, every Marvel movie,
Yes.
but particularly the ones that have Mark Ruffalo in them. Yes, because that is a CGI character. That is an animated character
Yes.
that they're
Right.
even though Mark Ruffalo's on set, but he's in dots and so that they can do the mocap for it.
Right.
Well,
It's still an animated character.
It's to the point now where with most Marvel movies, and this is why you get a lot of these like bigger name directors who don't do this is one of the reasons why like Edgar Wright pulled out of Ant-Man is because they will say, okay, yeah, you get to direct, but you get to direct like all of the non-action scenes because we've already like pre-rendered all the action scenes. We have a
Right.
second unit who is doing all of that shit. So you get to do everything that's not an action scene,
Right.
and that's why a lot of times you get people you get people pulling out of this and not wanting to do them anymore because they really don't have that kind of control, and it's mostly just because it's mostly computer animation. We see more animation now than we've ever seen before in movies, but it's computer animation that is made to look realistic,
Right.
And you have these movies nowadays who you notice that they're all like old mascot type things where they're bringing it into real life, and
Talking about the Chip and Dale movie.
yeah, the Chip and Dale movie, which I think was I watched part of it because my daughter was watching it, and it's actually like it's kind of like making fun of all that. But but like there's some of it's CGI, but then some of it's actually like I think one of them still stays hand drawn animation and stuff like that. You've watched it, that's why I'm
The Chip and Dale movie.
Yeah,
the Chip and Dale movie for sure is really good because
me and Bianca also watched that.
because it basically makes fun of the entire
it's like a
special
meta
effects. Yeah, it
type
makes fun of the
movie.
entire special effects industry as a whole, like a little history lesson almost.
Yeah, so and I think that's really like one of the most recent ones that's came out. I can't think of anything else that's done that.
Yeah,
and even then, like most of them are that's the only one definitely that's had like hand drawn animation as part of it. Because nowadays it's going to be like a CGI character that's just fucking around. You got your shit like Ted and all that, where you got some little fucking Muppet just dicking around in real life.
You have the Detective Pikachu movie where you have you have people interacting with CGI Pokemon.
Yeah,
and so
I completely forgot about that.
I haven't seen that.
Pokemon is never at the forefront of my memory because it wasn't really a part of my childhood. So
Right.
But yeah, I can't think of any other one.
I can't either
of like recent because it's kind of a
dead art
form.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like you can't really go anywhere after something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like it's all been kind of like imitations of that, and some of
that
them
was kind of like the high,
i.e. Space Jam. But I would argue that it was more of like this melding of like this really important property and the biggest athlete at the time had that.
I think for me, it's like, you know, the sequence of Mary Poppins and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They really nailed that whole entire art form, and it was lightning in a bottle, and they couldn't really replicate it later on, even though they tried.
I would say the art form wasn't that prevalent. I think you have like two or three, like as we've gone through the decades of this, you have like two or three here or there. It's a lot of times, particularly early on, it's more auteur. It's cinema, like where we're experimenting with the format.
Right.
We're experimenting with, can we do this?
Yeah.
When you mentioned, I was about to say Moliere, but it's not Moliere. The
Fleischer?
No, not before Fleischer.
The Journey to the Moon guy.
Yeah. Fucking goddamn.
Milieu?
Milieu.
Yeah. He's literally like, how far can we take this art form?
Right.
And then you get into the era of, hey, this seems cool and novel right now because no one's really doing it. Let's do this.
Well, you get this experimentation like early in the days of Disney. It's hard to think of it now because of them being like this huge corporation, this all-encompassing corporation. But like it was like a very small group of people who were really trying to push this as an art form.
Right.
And they eventually got away from that, and you know, and sometimes it still feels like that sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't. But they were really like that's why a lot of the early films that had this combination were Disney films, or Disney was doing something like a short,
right,
or it was being done by Disney. It just wasn't necessarily a movie. Because you got to realize they didn't do movies until Snow White. They did like shorts and stuff like
full
that.
feature
like 2
film.
minutes short here, 5 minutes there.
But even then, with the Alice comedies, they were like pushing the form with that,
right?
But yeah, like and it's kind of just a byproduct of the fact that like just CGI and CGI animation has kind of killed hand-drawn animation, at least in America. You still got like Japan, you know, still is hanging on with hand-drawn animation. I didn't come across much of like non-American stuff that really stuck out to me that did that. that did this kind of melding. But
when I was looking for
this is a very American centric that we're talking about this time.
Style, yeah.
Real quick, any of the foreign passengers, because I've noticed we've hit like a lot of countries have at least checked us out at least once. If you're from outside of the United States and you have examples of this, please let us know. Again, travellersontheomnibus@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and we will definitely respond to something like that. That's very interesting to me.
When I was looking at movies for this topic, one movie came up, and I was like, that's not true. It was like Kill Bill Volume 1 came up. And it's because of the
anime sequence,
anime sequence. But then again, that's just one animated.
It's just jammed in there.
Shorts in a live action movie.
Yeah, a lot of we were probably looking at the same list, and there was a lot of stuff that I had to weed through because it's like, okay, yeah, that has like because. Back in like the 80s and 90s, a big thing was to have like an animated sequence to begin your movie when you're showing the credits, and then have that through the rest of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You had stuff like now I can't think of anything, but you had a lot of like it was mostly like comedies where they do that. Hell, you had like the Pink Panther movies. They had the Pink Panther animation.
Yeah, I was very let down as a child when that started, and I was like, "Man, this looks awesome!" And then it goes
because back in the day, I used to be like, "Hey, if it's, I better have something that's animated.
Right.
I want animation in here.
Cartoons for days.
You show me a live action person, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, that's how I was.
I deal with live action people every day.
Get that shit out of here. I think that's why I was a little bit disappointed.
Jay has a vomit trail following after.
Yeah,
I think that's
all
why
the
I was a little
time, all the
disappointed
time.
in Pete's Dragon because like, okay, there's one thing. There's one thing.
There's one animated character, and everything else is.
There was another. No, I think it had like this kind of blue dragon with like black ears. I can't remember what that was. I think that was that had some live action stuff with it too, but I could be wrong about that. The Reluctant Dragon?
Maybe.
Is that what it's called?
I think that might be a thing. The Reluctant Dragon. Look at that.
That might be what I'm thinking about, but
that might be.
But I could be wrong about it actually having. But yeah, like it's kind of a dead art form,
It is.
really, and it's mostly because these big studios aren't really going back. I mean, you get. What was that? The People versus Wile E. Coyote. Like that's supposed to be a live action cartoon thing, but we probably won't ever see it because Warner Brothers are assholes and they're just gonna be like, "Hey, we've made this movie, but we're not gonna release it."
I don't want to use the umbrella of an entire production company to protect one man. David Zaslav's an asshole.
David Zaslav is an asshole, but you know the Warner Brothers is also responsible for that too. Like
they got to get that debt down, baby.
Yeah, probably should be illegal for you to be able to write a movie off that you're just like, hey, I'm just not going to release this and write it off. You
as a tax write-off.
That probably shouldn't be legal.
Right.
I'm just saying. But yeah, that would probably be the most recent thing. Yeah, that's the character, but I don't think has any live action stuff.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it either.
Hit images, maybe it'll show up. Anyway, moving on.
But yeah, that's like it's a dying art. It's a dead art, really, because like the one movie that we had isn't probably ever going to see the light of day.
I'll give it a little bit of a. I'll say it's hibernating. Like
I'm hoping it's hibernating.
We're waiting for the right time to have that again.
Yeah,
it's still some interesting stuff because even though I am an adult, I still love and respect animation. And I think that it is an important art form, and you could do a lot of really interesting things with it, especially with combining it with live action. So hopefully one day we can get another good movie. Maybe one day we will see the People versus Wile E. Coyote, because I've heard the people who have seen it say it's really good, and so
see on the flip side of that, I'm worried about like it's gonna take on this like mythical like, oh, this is like the funniest movie that's ever, and then it'll be a good movie, but it's just not. It doesn't live up to the hype of that. Yeah.
Well, regardless, if we get to see it, I think that's a good thing.
I would prefer to see the Batgirl. Honestly,
I would like to see both
movie.
of those. I would like to see both of those because I don't think that that should be legal. But that's neither here nor there. I think that's all that I've got. Does anybody else have any final words or anything?
No, I think I'm good.
We got it?
I think of all the live action animated films, I think the Looney Tunes ones are probably up there for me. Both Space Jam and Back in Action.
Yeah. I still just like he's actually seen the movie. He's the one person.
I've seen it too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. For me, it's like, I think Roger Rabbit is just like one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would
It's
rank
really-
it,
it's
but
really good.
But to me, like every part of it was just so well done that like I'll just watch it. Like I'm gonna watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This shit's great.
It's just a good movie.
Yeah, it's just a
part
good movie.
part of a lot of good chunk of good movies in that time period, in that like 8 years, before and after.
Yeah. So if you're not foreign, you can call into, hey, what was your favorite movie that mixed live action and animation?
And if you say Cool World, then we know you're lying.
Yeah.
I'll just throw in
Or you might like Cool World.
right.
You might like Cool World.
You might like Cool World, but that just means
you might have my father's mentality.
you might need to keep your distance.
It's
Please.
live action and animation. It's just the same.
Like
I mean,
somebody
this-
who likes Ralph Bakshi too much, I kind of give him a
you gotta be
side eye.
careful.
I mean this with the dearest sincerity, Ethan. I now know why your mother and father split up.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we're pulling into the station now.
Yeah. Yeah, where do you go from there?
Yeah, I know where you can go. You can
Straight
go
to hell.
Yeah.
You can go over to Whiskey
Joke's
and
on you,
Wrestling.
he's got an indulgence.
Jesus.
I can't have him. He is beyond me.
That's right, Satan.
Yeah, the Pope wrote him a piece of paper.
That's a clip right there. That's a fucking clip.
Not even specifically. They sell those in the gift shop. I'm not even kidding. For all I know, it's a recipe for banana bread. Like, I don't know.
The tastiest holy banana.
Yeah, don't
bread.
ever learn Latin because then you'll find out.
Yeah.
You'll find the recipe.
Yeah.
3 parts flax. Shit.
Where do we even get flax anymore?
I know. Probably in the Vatican.
Yeah, it's right next to the recipe, of course, in
Yeah.
the gift shop.
Yeah, and they measure it out in cubits.
You have to you have to go up to one of the guards in the frilly outfits with the pole. With
I
the
have to
pole
deal with
arms
this
and
How do
everything.
we how do we
Yeah,
keep
so,
this up
I know.
and then
Hey,
he
Jody,
can do that?
do you want to go ahead and
We
plug,
could just
plug
do
something?
this concurrently
No,
while
you-
he's trying to
you
do
go
that.
ahead.
Nah,
And we could just-
I give.
Hey everybody, Future Jay here again. We had a bit where Jody and Ethan gave all the plugs this week, and then me and Brady just kept talking. And at the time, we were very tired, and we thought it might be funny. But Brady, ever the voice of reason for the group, said, "Well, here's what he said."
We're
Britain's
still
Got
doing
Talent.
this.
Yeah,
I cannot
yeah.
believe this.
It's
Why
a good
stop?
bit.
This is
It's going.
unlistenable.
So yeah, he was right. 100%, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. So to save you, we cut all of that, and we will never do that again. And we apologize, even though you never heard it. But for our friends, let's get these plugs out of the way. Whiskey and Wrestling, Michael Hill and Jason Holder providing you a week's news and views in the world of wrestling while sharing a wonderful libation with you. Silence Your Cell Phones, Jared Hubbard and Kevin Shelton providing you with their ideas about what's good in the realm of movies and TVs of the current modern era. We got Bearded Drums, Stephen Nelson II and Jarrett Taylor take you through all things drums from gears to gigs, including performances by Mr. Nelson, recorded live and then presented to you on YouTube and all other podcasting app platforms and avenues. The Completed Podcast, Christopher Vega, Brandon Scott Tanner, and Brandon Smith providing you with news and views on Magic the Gathering, particularly in the competitive scene, along with war stories, travel stories, and the like. MacNarb Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi. For all your gaming needs in the South Mississippi area, come to MacNarb Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi. God Emperor of Gaming Cameron Spanier presiding over all. I think that's pretty much it. And now we get back to us after we destroyed you guys' ears. We're sorry again, even though you never heard it.
Okay, you got everybody?
Yeah,
we got
everybody
Okay,
we
can
care
come back
about.
in.
Okay, all right, cool.
Everyone that stayed, congratulations, you win. That's it, you win.
No, you don't, because you have lost your mind. I'm serious. That was all unlistenable. Like we might as well just cut it off
If
now.
you ever want
because
to imagine
I'm curious in the edit how I'm going
what
to
it
react.
sounded like
I really am. Like,
Chekhov
because
to
after a
have
few
the
days
alien
of
worm
like
go
not,
into his
not
ear
having
going
and
to
to
give
run
you
a
a
con,
stroke.
that's what it was.
Okay, well then I
yeah.
better take aspirin before I do
All right,
the.
for,
like,
Travelers on the
Tuesday-
Omnibus, I've been Jody Kite.
I've been Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Bray Davis.
Next
We're
week,
sorry.
Next week, Omnibus versus Ethan Skinner versus Jody Kite.
Oh fuck! I forgot we'd do this now.
Yeah. No, I mean you can walk away.
No, but
Everybody can
no.
look at Jody.
It literally doesn't
walking
matter.
away.
Yes, but I hear
Because
the
they
music
turned
and
it
I feel
off when the
obligated to stay
cacophony of
here.
voices
You don't have to.
happen.
Yeah, but the one
Every
person,
single time
yeah,
that
but
I've
the
ever
the person from the Czech
listened
Republic,
to
they
a
could still be
podcast
listening
and more
to
than one
us.
person has been talking at the same time,
That's it.
it is unlistenable.
Goodbye.